still for that fantastic first and only slot of APAC to the Game Changers Champions. My name is Mika Fabs, and with me today is Colden. How are you feeling today, man? We have quite a day in front of us.
Yeah, and we had quite a day yesterday. I mean, it went the full distance. You know, a lot of doubt in the minds of many players, many viewers, myself included. Right, I was watching the game, and it went all the way to overtime, 40-12. But yeah, it was an interesting day yesterday. Right, we saw two teams get eliminated, and two teams, continuing their run in that lower bracket. So I'm excited, and today we have a couple of bangers lined up for all of you guys. Right, there's 3 games here today. It's I guess a Freaky Friday of sorts, right? We have so many teams going up against each other. 2 more teams gonna be going home, but 1 team gonna be pushed forward into that grand final. So I can't wait to get the day started.
I know it's Friday the 13th, and everybody says it's unlucky, but I'm a believer in lucky number 13. So hopefully all of the bad juju was released yesterday for a very, very exhausting day, by the way. I just want to point out, by the way, I'm still continuing the merch drop here, and this is actually, it might not be obvious, but this is actually, it's Los Angeles, it's Champions merch. I just realized it, like the way it's like the way it's cropped, it looks like I'm just ready for bed.
She has a whole wardrobe full of merch. You know, every day you see her, it's a new shirt, it's a new tee. And yeah, I think you have one more lined up for us, but we'll keep that for the later part of the tournament. But yeah, take a look at the circuit that we have so far, right? Open 1 all the way to 3, and now we're here in Elite. And this tournament's gone on for quite a while already, right? This is like, what, the 5th day? And we've had so many interesting matches on our screens, and so many interesting maps, right? We saw Breeze and Sunset being played multiple times, which is something that I wasn't too sure was gonna happen. So I'm really glad to be able to see all these maps here today, and yeah, just excited to see how things will pan out here today.
Remember what I told you the first day? I was like, okay, if we don't see Sunset today, we're probably not gonna see it at all. And almost every single day, almost every single match here, like the teams are really pushing it. And it's like, you know what? Let's have Sunset in there. Let's have Breeze in there. So it's like, I think both of the all of these teams rather are just pushing each other past their comfort zones. And it's like, most of these teams have been fighting all the way since Open 1, since, as we can see, was still in March of earlier this year. They need something new. They need something fresh to be able to get some kind of competitive edge from their opponents, right? So it's probably that. Bring out the Breeze, bring out Sunset. Unfortunately, for MLT Esports and for Global Esports Phoenix here, we had to say goodbye to them yesterday, as Colden mentioned earlier. And I think that, on the side of Global Esports Phoenix, I still think that they're a little bit raw relative to the other teams. And for MLT, I mean, it's already a feat that they've already made it here, considering that they are the newest team here. They came together right before, like, I think a few days before LCQ started, Colden. So I think it's like it's still a testament to how incredibly competitive they are.
Yeah, but their journey, ended yesterday, and we got to put our focus back on like the top 6 right now. And I'm so happy to see Nyx Kyosei here. Fifi made the distance. They escaped the first round of elimination, and they're all vying for the prize, as you can see on the screens right now. $35,000 prize pool, as well as that coveted spot at Champions. And yeah, all of these teams really making sure that they don't leave any stones unturned. As you mentioned, so many different compositions, many maps. We saw an absurd number of neons in this tournament so far. I did not think that neon was going to be so prevalent, but I guess, maybe the Jet nerve's really hitting a bit too hard. But it's really cool to see how these teams have innovated in such a short period of time with, such big changes to the maps and agents as well.
I am even more surprised that we actually got a Yoru and a Reina in the same game. I mean, we had the Jet and Reina versus the Yoru and Neon, right? Who would have thought that we would have a matchup like that? And of course, all these teams vying for that first place and that coveted singular slot of APAC to champions, which will be held in Sao Paulo, Brazil at the latter part of November. And right now we're seeing our brackets and we are continuing our lower bracket run. We're going to be having RQ versus Nyx, OGX versus NWJ, and SMG versus Full Sense. I know that, I'm looking at SMG versus Full Sense for sure. That is going to be one powerhouse match and quite a grudge match it is indeed as well. But I believe we are starting off with OGX and NWJ. And I have to say, it's like, I feel like NWJ, did you guys rest enough or something? Because it's like, what time did they end yesterday? They were the last, they ended at like past midnight, I believe. And they are now the first match coming into today, Golden. So I hope they're well rested because the OGX definitely are.
That's true. Yeah, OGX did have an extra day to prepare and work on strats against NWJ. So I'm interested to see how they will come up with their approach towards this series, because in my opinion, I think this first series of the day could be one of the most close, or at least I think it's going to be the most exciting. Apart from the firefight that's bound to happen in SMG versus Full Sense Sapphire, I think OGX versus NWJ is kind of that sleeper matchup. I really, really do like how NWJ approached the game, and I think that this match, this hit-to-head is going to be really, really interesting because both of these teams have that special spark in them, right? We saw OGX, I think we casted, or at least we were on the desk for the game, where OGX were up against the wall, and then they came back, they showed the resilience. And I think NWJ showed that resilience yesterday up against GE Phoenix, so it might be a very, very interesting matchup against these two teams that will not back down.
Yeah, resilience I think is an understatement, given how long the day was. As you mentioned, right, OGX had about a day to prepare for this, and NWJ barely have a day to be able to recover from anything. I'm just hoping that they got enough sleep. That's like bare minimum for these ladies. But we've been seeing this matchup actually since all the way back to Open 1, and OGX, they actually have always come out on top. And most might say that history is bound to repeat itself, but I would say that there are some glitches in the matrix this time around, right? There is Sway, who is back on OGX, and there's Mythica as well. And there is, on the side of NWJ, there is Lin, who has been such a valuable flex player for this team. You look back at a lot of the impossible rounds for NWJ, and it's usually Lin who's coming in big for this team. So these players are going to be so important for how different, or the curveballs that they're going to throw at each other, especially since this tournament has been going on, or this matchup rather has been going on for quite a while. But in the meantime, we're going to take a closer look at our roster. So check out this video. I believe this is OGX coming at you.
Take a look at this squad of absolute titans on your screens. Impeccable play coming in from one of the players, Twirly. I think I want to highlight her plays. Of course, the rest of the OGX team, we've seen how well they can play together, especially on the map of Haven, right? That one of those comfort picks of theirs. But Twirly, I want to put a highlight on her because she has surprised me, and I think surprised a lot of people and a lot of teams in this tournament already. Her great duelist plays that will come in has been nothing short of amazing, and if that continues up against NWJ, they're gonna have a really tough time because she can literally swing the tides in OGX's favor. So a star-studded roster with Sway coming back into the team, so sky's the limit, I guess, for OGX.
Yeah. It's a welcoming homecoming for her, right? Especially here on Elite. And then I like to I like to look at them as like the queens of like impossible comebacks here on the APAC stage. And they're at their best when they have nothing to lose. And so a lower bracket run for OGX should almost feel like a boost of adrenaline for them. But we're gonna find out if they can have that boost indeed up against NWJ. Let's take a closer look at the roster. These ladies are coming from a very exhausting day yesterday, so hopefully they're well rested. NWJ, let's go. NWJ here.
Oh, take it.
No worries. I just wanted to reiterate that they're coming off of a very long day yesterday, Golden, and it's probably not enough time, but that's competition for you, right? How well can they get back up after the shortest rest out of any of these teams?
Yeah, and I think you mentioned Lynn right earlier on. I think she has been, a diamond in the rough that's discovered by NWJ. It's amazing to see how she has sort of just fit into the team quite seamlessly. It's tough, right, to appear on the elite stage and really show up in your first few matches where it's pretty cutthroat, right? If you lose 2 series, you're already out. And Lynn has just been an anchor for that team, filling in the spots that they need as the Killjoy, as the Sentinel, really putting up multi-kills, multiple rounds in a map. And I think, throwback to yesterday, she was one of the key reasons why NWJ even had a chance to go for that comeback that eventually resulted in their win and their result here today.
Yeah, she's been amazing, and then it's been a question mark, of course, because she was like the newer player coming into this team. But the moment we saw her on the stage at the first match here at the Elite, we knew that this was a player that we really had to watch out for, right? And she's really coming in huge on the side of OGX. Of course, you do have Sway back as the IGL, who's really pushing that team, giving that team that additional, sort of like momentum to be able to make those comebacks in very crucial rounds, right? You also have Twirly, who is such a fearless duelist, right? She's able to take up so much space for her team, and I think one of the problems that we noted during the earlier matches was that there was a little bit of a disconnect, I guess, between Twirly and how far she would be able to push and the follow-up that would come after that. But I think that OGX have had time to work through that, to be able to work out that those little mistakes, or maybe the disconnects in timing. So I'm expecting much more from them this time around, especially since they know NWJ so well.
That's a good point. I'm actually quite curious of how OGX has taken that loss versus SMG, right? Because if I'm not mistaken, let me just take a quick look, right? So yeah, losing 2-0 to SMG, it is not an unexpected outcome, right? But I'm wondering whether that has affected their mental. I know that they're really resilient, but that might have taken a bit of a hit on them, because coming into the tournament, that was arguably their best shot, at surprising SMG, trying to go for something a bit unconventional. But now they're down in the lower brackets and they're fighting for their lives. So we'll have to see how things pan out. I think the map videos are ready for us, so let's take a look at how that one has panned out.
Well, we had a lot of big surprises last time. So and for this map veto, what are we expecting here? We do know that in their previous matchups, OGX had Ascent, I believe, as their most successful map against NWJ. For NWJ, though, I believe it was Bind that might be their best bet. So, okay, we are starting off with Ascent here, and followed by Lotus, potentially Haven. And I'm looking at the bans, actually. I saw that OGX banned Bind, which is pretty smart. And I guess no Breeze, no Sunset for either of these teams. They don't want any of that. And the NWJ, I think they're still too fresh from the split match, from earlier today. We can say that, right? Earlier today. So it looks like we're going to be starting off here on Ascent. And yeah, this is going to be good for OGX, I feel.
Yeah, NWJ picked into this one, which is, I guess, a confidence pick, right? A comfortability pick. I can understand the bans of Breeze and Split. Both of those maps, they did look a little bit shaky on. And having Haven as like that last pick coming in for OGX, I think this bolsters their map pool, or at least in the map vehicles for OGX, right? Whenever we see Haven for OGX, it always feels like it's their map to take hold, right? So if it goes to a third mapper, OGX, I think they have kind of won out in this map veto so far. Lotus is going to be an interesting one. I think NWJ really likes to implement those lurks on Lotus. So if they can get that going on the attacking side, I think they do stand a chance to actually win out in a 2-0 fashion. Yeah, as I mentioned, if it goes to Haven, kind of have to give it into OGX's favor. Right?
Yeah, I'm also not sure, like, endurance wise, I guess, for NWJ, like how the level of consistency that they put out, and how in a best of 3 going into the third map, I'm not exactly sure if they can have that same energy, especially up against OGX, that is the type of team that builds steam, right? It's the comebacks, and they actually play better if they go into a map number 3. So it's like they actually want you there. If they do lose one of the maps, it's not the end of the road for them, or they're not the type that will panic or suddenly say like, okay, we're at a disadvantage, because they actually want that map 3. They know that they can outlast you. They know that they can outrun you. So I think for OGX, this is overall looking good. NWJ, though, they are coming off of again, that very long day yesterday, and they're coming in fresh here. So it's going to be the biggest test for these ladies, in many ways than one. They need to be able to pull this out to show that we had our perception of, I guess, like the big 4, like the big teams that would come in here. It's just clearly SMG, RQ, Full Sense, and OGX is our dark horse. NWJ want to show that, like, no, we're capable of making that top 4 as well. We're capable of making or being one of the big teams on the APAC stage for Game Changers.
All right, so I love what you put, like how you set it up there, but I also like to add in, right, that I took a little look at the maps of Ascent that NWJ have played, right, and the last map, or at least the last time they played Ascent, was actually against OGX, all the way in, I'm not mistaken, Open 3, yeah, in the playoffs round 2. So they actually did battle on Ascent, and it went in the way of OGX, which is an interesting factor right there, because I think coming into this matchup, NWJ wants to surprise OGX with something that they did not see before. I think Ascent is a battlefield, right, that they obviously have experience on. It was a close affair, 10-13, and if SCYTHE can actually come up with some counterplay to OGX this time around, I think they really do stand a chance. It's gonna be what I'm expecting, going to be the exact same comps again. The standard on Ascent, in the last time they played, it was a mirror comp as well. So I think NWJ has something cooking, right? It has to be. If you pick into a map that you just lost to that team that you are now currently playing against, I'm expecting something interesting. I'm expecting something spicy. And of course, Friday the third team.
Where we're really like, okay, so let's see what else could possibly go in a very unconventional manner on this very superstitious day, right? Who knows, maybe it's not a mirror matchup after all. I mean, everybody's been saying how, like, oh my gosh, Ascent should be out of rotation by now, because it's just so standard, and for us on the talent side, it's like, here we go again. What else can we expect on Ascent? But yeah, I'm open to any surprises here for these teams. I think you're absolutely right. We're probably seeing that mirror matchup, but I do want to highlight then against the new players that we have here. Are we seeing Mythica now? Are we going to see Sway perhaps pick something that's a little bit more aggressive, something more of a punch? Is she going to bring back perhaps the option for like a double duelist comp, right? Sway did have a big history playing IGL duelist for the team way back when. And on the other side as well, you have Lynn, who has been such an incredible flex player. She's been doing great, fantastic work on the Sentinel role. She can also flex on over to controller or initiator, whatever the team might need. So how is that going to affect their composition, or what kind of how vast they can stretch their compositions coming here into Ascent, especially since it's been tried and tested it's the same thing over and over again. Could perhaps those X factors be the something new, I guess, that would throw NWJ and OGX off of each other's trail?
Yeah, and you're speaking about the different agent compositions that we could see. I again went to go and look at OGX's previous Ascent matches, which was against SMG, which is the latest one, right? 2-13, not the best showing, but they did bring out an interesting comp. Raze, Fade, and Chamber was included in that composition. So, we might just get that wish. We might just get something freaky on Friday. I'm excited to see if they're going to continue with that. Maybe, the 2-13 loss might have, shaken their confidence a bit. Maybe they're going back to the original, standard meta comp of Ascent because, they were so heavily countered by SMG, but you never know, right? What goes in the mind of Sway, I can only wait and see, I guess.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up, right? Because like Iruma has been has been part of the welcoming committee for Chamber, right? Back into the meta, but she's been doing so well on the role as well, especially on the defensive side. So is that something she's gonna pick? It looks like we're going with what you mentioned, Colden. It's going to be the Raze, the Chamber, the Fade for the side of OGX, and NWJ. They're just sticking with the standard.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how Scythe will want to counter this kind of a pick. It's not the standard util that you're gonna see. You have to be a little bit adaptive. But we've seen weakness. I mean, OGX did not perform well up against SMG. I'm just gonna put it, straight up. So definitely a chance for them to strike here, strike hard, and really put OGX on notice. Let's see how they want to approach this map of Ascent.
Perhaps that match versus SMG exposed some weaknesses here. Perhaps it's something that NWJ can use to their favor and learn from. Maybe we're going to see. And for the side of NWJ, you really just have to give all your energy to these ladies. It was a very grueling day yesterday, so it's possible they're still riding on that momentum, right? They're still, feeling the effects of that high coming into this match. They're very, very warm, I would say. They're coming in very, very hot indeed, and we're gonna see how hot they can take this match here against OGX. So let's get into Ascent. Over to your casters, Quack and Black and Blue.
Thank you very much, panelists. And I think they've got some great points, especially with the agent composition. The Chamber coming in again, Raze plus Fade. But of course, we can only find out what happens. It's always a bit of an uphill battle once you're in the lower bracket. Yeah. But it is what it is. Hey, I'm Quack. This is Black and Blue. A very spiffy shirt today, man.
Sorry, for a moment there something went off in my ear. But to your point, I'll disregard it. I'll make up my own. I think the important thing here is that they're looking to finally, for the first time, kind of take down OGX, right? You look at where Scythe have gone, what they've done. And as we kind of talked about OGX a while ago, most of us were looking at this tournament for OGX to be the dark horse, and that's a very valid take. They're maybe not the favorites, but they have a chance. But I think the true dark horse in this tournament has been Scythe. We've seen some great things from them when they hit their stride, but at least in terms of being a bit more consistent, that's where OGX come on in. And part of that is not just in-game, but in their decisions leading up to it. For example, with Scythe banning out Split for their second one, which is one of the more doable maps against a team like Orangutan X, you have to wonder, why did we end up on Haven if we get to it?
Yeah, I mean, I think they definitely have some kind of game plan or just something that they're more comfortable with. And definitely Coldan brought up something very interesting with the fact that the last time Scythe played Ascent was against OGX, but then again, it was a slightly different OGX, a slightly different roster, so both teams must have changed things up, and that's something where you definitely need to watch out for. A lot of things to be wary of. But also another interesting fact is just that every single time that OGX has gone up against NWJ, OGX comes out on top, Black and Blue. So it's a little bit tough, and maybe this is the tournament. Maybe this is the time for Scythe NWJ to shine, because they've been doing so much, especially yesterday, coming into Game Changers APAC Elite.
Well, we know what happened yesterday, how things turned on out, but today's a new day, a brighter one. At the end of this series, though, one team will go down and out of this tournament and in contention for Brazil. So, OGX versus NWJ, we see Orangutan starting out here on the defense, but they're actually in pretty prime spot to receive this oncoming Scythe attack.
Pretty good positioning so far. I mean, it's like quite disciplined, you might say. OGX kind of peeking onto A main for a second right now. Of course, we've got Japips on the fade here, just dual wing with Twirly, so there might be a bit of a combo setup, but they don't have any info right now. In fact, it's the trademark that goes off around market.
Well,
wow.
It's a very curious decision, right? The comp that are playing here, not exactly the most stock standard, but it's what we've become accustomed to when looking at this OGX team. Very unique, which you really love to see, especially here. Obviously, the chamber gives you that bit more of aggression, but speaking of aggressiveness, here it comes. Paranoia on out. Stalling them for the meantime to try and buy some space. Time. They don't expect Twirly on the corner, and from the switch, they don't even realize she's there. Gets a double.
I think that's the round right there. 20 seconds left, and all that utility is exploding right underneath NWJ's feet. Lin gets blown up by the ghost. It's gonna be SCYTHE trying to make some noise through from Garden, but that's the best that she can do. 5 seconds, and the spike is down. Door isn't even broken yet, so at this point, unless you can shoot every single target, it's basically round over. Pistol goes over to OGX.
I mean, as you said, that was practically the round already taken pretty much by Twirly. As soon as they didn't clear her out towards that switch, easy pickings, had to focus on the rest of the push. And there just simply wasn't enough for NWJ to put on up, so small lapse there, but one that can certainly be rectified for the meantime. OGX will benefit off of that cause, and look at Twirly, Phantom already coming up in a second.
I mean, I think off of it, oh yeah, you got the Phantom, you're looking to snowball with it. NWJ, it's a slight mid-rounding that needed some work. Because the entries just kind of fell apart as soon as Yamori dashed into Twirly. Off to the next round, of course, and it's OGX just trying to hold. They've been very safe thus far in Black and Blue.
Yeah, they know that for a team like Scythe, you give them those opportunities, certainly can be capitalized on. And we've seen that in their upcoming, rather in their previous battles here, as Twirly another double to start off her round, maybe a triple even to continue on, and that's where the Phantom comes on in, right? Just having so much more superiority in terms of the fighting capability.
You got two more players on the other side too. Aruma coming up with one on the Headhunter, and then Twirly looking for the quad. It's gonna be a knife kill coming up from Oreophilia. You gotta pull out whatever you can in a self-defense moment, but that said, it's still gonna be OGX finishing things off.
I mean, Oreophilia, she got hers, so nothing to feel too bad about. Obviously, kind of a throwaway round, if anything. But hey, I'm surprised she didn't actually have like a TP to go back. Actually, she did have her trademark, just rather her rendezvous. Just didn't choose to use it in that moment. I'm not sure if she was in, or if it was in cooldown or anything like that.
A little bit of greed, you know, you just want to go for more kills. SCYTHE's going in for the knife as well. I think she tried to hop on over. And then, oh wait, was it SCYTHE's? I can't remember. But then you just have the knife right back. That said, it's going to be the full buy round for NWJ right now. And they are just still being so careful, both sides. Small little adjustments. This time we've got Casper inside of blind. But NWJ have always gone for mid control. And this time, just trying to break some traps, create a bit of pressure. It's up to OGX to respond to this. And off of the trap breaking, it's going to be Aruma being lured out into the open area, and SCYTHE's taking her down.
Yeah, Aruma very open there. Obviously trying to adjust to that market pressure. And now as Sway goes down, that's the B site entirely open. And you can see here, because they gave up that pizza, it led to a lot more of a volatile defense here on the B site, leaving them open, and well, NWJ, they found their opening.
Alright, so we've got side. We hear the footsteps. Phantom still does good damage onto Lin. Crescent's immediately picking up where she just left off. And it's all gonna be up to Japips now. Perfect paranoia on the end there as well. And Japips just cannot see anything. It's lights out, and NWJ taking up the win.
Yeah, just barely out of her scope of vision. But the operator coming now from Aruma, I think he's going to change things up. We saw a bit more of a, I guess, aggressive A main hold, which ultimately enough, their play there was to kind of lure Scythe into coming towards short perhaps, or A main, having to swing from twirly, as you can see Casper setting up kind of like a paranoia play, but it just never came to pass. So maybe the trap didn't work the first time, but not due to a lack of trying.
And not too shabby, still able to do a little bit of damage, and thus, as such, they get to buy back up Aruma with the operator. But this time, NWJ has opted to go for a full A main hit instead, with just SCYTHE on the lurk outside of B lobby. And without seeing all too much info, it's going to be the call from OGX to pull back and instead hide on top of Heaven just to support and kind of defend. SCYTHE's doing a bit of damage towards B main as well, sustaining a bit of damage onto her own. She's down to 10 HP.
He's been pretty effective on these lurks so far. Her own game right now, getting them 2 consecutive opening first kills on these gun rounds, especially very important. So SCYTHE's already providing. I mean, as a Sentinel, you have to be the lurker anyways, but you're building up the lockdown, which is big, but Casper has to time this right. When they do push on in, she has to get her one. Oh, too early.
Okay. 30 seconds remaining, though, and that's where NWJ has to push in. They know where Casper is, so she's under a lot of pressure right now, being blinded as well, but support coming through. She's got teammates coming from Heaven, but they're getting fragged out by Lin, and Casper just swinging back and forth, getting some one-taps along with it. A third kill coming through, and Pips to put another one down. SCYTHE with that huge lurk now has to rotate over, but doesn't have that much time. And 10 HP is all she's got, Black and Blue. So trying to stick it down. Unfortunately, cannot reposition. The turret helps her just for 1 second, but here comes Casper with the Quadra.
It was a great recovery by Casper, even with mistakes made, and you can see how small mishaps in terms of execution here can really go into a, I guess, dissuaded round, which should have been theirs. You look at NWJ, and they're maybe not the most sophisticated team for sure, or experienced team, and you can see it in rounds like that, where was the molly towards Heaven? Where was the molly towards the dice? Either one of those would have shut it down. I mean, there was a molly towards Heaven, but it wasn't necessarily timed right, allowed, you know, the rest of the defense to come on in. SCYTHE had her nano swarms as well, nothing there towards dice, where they knew for a fact Casper was, and just these type of things which haven't necessarily, rather Oreophilia was, yeah, Casper, and those type of things have allowed OGX to find their openings, so NWJ gotta make sure they're a bit more thorough on those type of pushes.
Yeah, you gotta make sure you don't want to use too much utility early on as well. I mean, I guess that's one other thing when you have your Killjoy just lurking by herself outside of B main. This time it's a slightly different game plan though, with Sway towards top, Crescents towards top mid instead. So NWJ is still just trying to find their footing in this game right now. Oreophilia with nothing but a Sheriff. And they are walking straight into Sway's crosshairs, but good peeks from Yamori. That's the entry right there. And surely they know where Casper is this time. Looking for her. They're going to get blinded for just a second. Cloudburst to keep herself alive. Yamori trying to do God's work. But here comes Crescents just to support her teammates as well. A double kill coming through, and this gives NWJ the A site.
Yeah, assuredly, this should be the round.
Here.
I'm assuming here Aruma, if she doesn't find one early, is going to go for a save instead. Oh, dangerous peak to trying to go for here versus Oreophilia. I'm not too sure I'd advise to continue in this fight for longer. They should be prioritizing keeping this investment that they have so they can still buy up into the next. They have economy for that anyways, but great job here by NWJ. Finally, their opening, first picks were actually converted into a round win. Aruma gets her one to try and stave them off, but the rest of the pack is just way too quick and way too close behind. But yeah, NWJ, as I said, opening first bloods finally capitalized on, and great stuff, especially on the support by Crescents.
Yeah, and SCYTHE on the lurk still as well. I mean, catching her opponents off as they try to save their weapons. But yeah, you're exactly right, Black and Blue. I mean, it almost feels as if it's like a contact play of NWJ just kind of all right, we go wherever we can. We got the info that there are like 2 or 3 people around B. If we can get the entry towards A short, let's just go into A. And they managed to make it work this time around with Crescents coming in with those double kills. That said, though, Aruma, despite not having the operator in this round, it's going to be the tour de force, and that is a bit of pressure on the defensive side. Attacking lockdown has been deployed, but not quite any movement yet.
They got no command to try and turn this off. They knew they had a tour de force and they still didn't pop it, and they paid the price, losing their smoker. These type of things, though, this is what can keep stabbing NWJ in the back. They have to be a bit more thorough. Look at what you got and what they're using. You know that tour de force is online, and you blindly peek, and you see the consequence of their actions.
A little bit painful. 5 on 4. Not all over yet, considering the fact that, you know, some of the OGX players only have sheriffs, so still you're gonna have to scrounge up whatever you can. But I think it's some of that slight differences between these two teams, because NWJ has made it this far without a coach. So
yeah,
still without that third-party perspective, sometimes they're gonna have to fix their issues on the fly, on the go, by themselves.
30 seconds
You've got no controller available now, and you're gonna have to try to break your way into a site regardless. Cloudburst is all you've got, and Yamori's trying to make that entry happen through A main. They've managed to spot a player out, Casper down by Garden, but Sway comes back into trade. And with that, OGX evens out the odds. Not the best weaponry still, but still a chance nonetheless.
Once again, Quack, it came from the contact play. That's like, what, 4 times in a row now? 4 different rounds where we see that contact play be quite effective here for NWJ. Obviously, opening pick going towards OGX, but they all line up and are taking down easily here from the tree. They plant themselves. And, well, great stuff done by NWJ at the end. Obviously, kind of an eco from Orangutan, but they take what they can.
And I'd say that's not too bad, right? Black and Blue, we're even up 3-3, and starting things off on Ascent, you know, you definitely want as many rounds as possible on the attacking side. So, with the fact that the last time they played Ascent, SCYTHE NWJ against Orangutan X, it was 10-13. They had a pretty good score. It was 6-6 in the end of the first half, and they made it very close towards the end. Can the same thing happen again, but with slightly better results? Maybe NWJ has cracked that code.
Well, timeout called here. Certainly would benefit both cases. I think, even though, yes, OGX are the one who called the timeout, SCYTHE are kind of in need of one, and this kind of benefits them because they didn't have to burn one of their own, yes. But more importantly, you can see how they have had very curious decision making sometimes in the mid round. Luckily for that one, this previous round number 6, it finally worked on out. What their mid round decision was to reinitiate that contact, but from really a different threshold, a different angle, a different path, and to be able to talk over that and continue what worked on, sometimes it's just as important as rectifying what wasn't.
Yeah, it's always those adjustments, and with Coach Gunner at the helm for OGX, maybe they're going to switch things up a little. You can see that the positioning has definitely shifted towards a bit more emphasis on A short, because that is where NWJ has been moving out. You've got Twirly available with a showstopper as well for any aggressive hits if we want. Dark cover comes out and they're starting to investigate.
Oh, that didn't connect where they were hoping, but certainly contact has been made here towards short. They know that double setup is alive, so you can infer there has to be one more on the site as well. They confirm that 3 on A. So curious to see what their decision is here. Obviously, it is Yamori kind of taking this fight solo as she's flushed on out. It has to be some sort of B split they commit here to.
Just getting them to spend a bit of utility as well, but this time Sky Elise not quite able to land that shot through B main. So maybe not quite a split. Maybe their only route, Black and Blue, is for NWJ to push through Market, bottom mid.
30 seconds
Maybe we wrap back around to A now that the door's broken. Lin does have the recon dart, so it's just going to be the execute from Market into B instead. However, they've got to watch out for these positions. Very pesky. Sway, she's going to be still alive inside a boathouse. Crescents comes in with a support, and Iruma, both of them fall. The site is theirs. NWJ gets the spike down, but here comes a retake just as fast as the site was taken. A bit of a hold outside of Market. Lin able to take down Twirly. The rest of them coming through from CT now, but NWJ knows exactly where to look. Both of them drop dead. NWJ in the lead.
Lovely stuff here from NWJ. Really making sure that once they're kind of forced into a bottleneck, they can make the most out of it, maximizing things here. The scan really saved them. Big scan coming from Lin as well. They had ultimates to utilize too, if it ever did come down to it. Obviously, the showstopper was available too for OGX, but if you were going to look at the defense here from OGX, yes, they get the first pick, but this one small error there by Iruma and Sway was that Iruma was there towards kind of like the Radiant Box Tower. If they played both towards the back side, which, to be fair, going back in a site in that case when they're being flooded is the right decision to make, unless you just fall back to CT and play retake. But if you're going to fall back into the site, you have to play that double bow task. You have to burn time, stall time as much as possible. There was 12 seconds left on the clock, and if that's what they could have done, then maybe a different outcome would have benefited their way.
Yeah, tiny bits. I mean, not to mention that the Radiant crates were, as Asteroid would say, wall bangable. But yeah, I mean, inside a boathouse, having two players is like additional support. He's not even here, I know.
He's not even part of this broadcast, and we bring him up every single time.
He's always in our hearts, man. But all right, it's a tech pause. I mean, I'm sure there are some, issues that need to be ironed out. Of course, OGX, a little bit unfortunate. They would have loved to be in a boot camp together, but they're not side by side right now, I think. And there's always a little bit of just unhappiness that comes with that as well. But moving on into the next round still, despite that loss, it's kind of early. We're into round 8 right now, and OGX can still afford to buy back up. It's light shields, sure, but it's still weaponry nonetheless, and Iruma still goes in for that operator pick. And I mean, what do you make of this? Like, the positioning right now, it feels like she's going back to a bit more mid-presence, and NWJ has been going with default so far.
I think part of it has been the fact that NWJ, as you said, default, and they play that contact very often. It's a big part of their game plan here in a sense. And the biggest problem to deal with when you are playing that contact, that dry contact sometimes, is an op on the other side. And when you have a chamber, it feels like you have all the right tools to deal with it, right? You have the op, which is great against contact. You have chamber, which is great on the op. But it maybe not be translating per se into round wins as consistent as they want here in the defense, partly because of the small macro decisions they make. They have the right idea in mind, like that last round. Yes, fall back in a site, fall back into the anchor positions, but it's just which anchor positions they chose that kind of, I guess, in the end screwed them over. And so if they fix those small things, OGX, they still have a chance here, obviously. They're on the defense, but NWJ, Scythe, they're gaining rounds rapidly on the attacking side.
Yeah, 3 rounds in a row now, and it's kind of, I guess, a little bit of that thing like you were talking about with the operator. It's a good idea, but you still need to be able to read your opponents, and you got to be able to position your players at the right spot, because if not for that, sometimes your operator is just going to be sitting alone, cold, and you don't have anyone to give you hugs, and you're just not going to be able to
describing yourself, Quack.
Any opponents.
We're on a broadcast. I'm talking about yourself here.
I'm sorry.
This ain't your show. No, I'm kidding. Continue on.
That's the thing, the operator player's not going to be able to find any opponents, and at that point you're going to retake with an op, and that's always difficult as well.
Yeah.
So that's the thing about this current situation. NWJ's defaults and the way that they've been moving across the map has been so effective at keeping OGX on their toes. In fact, right now, back into a bit of tiles, a bit of B lobby, B main, and not a lot of noise made. A big tag coming out from Iruma's operator, though, and Lin is down to half HP.
It's a good tag from her. Whoa. Oh, this Prowler just confirms a kill. I mean, Japeeps takes it away before the big rocket even connects, but hey, you take those. And that's a bit more of what I want to see. Literally, right before that happened, I was about to say, I want to see kind of like a trap setup or play here being made on the defense coming out of that timeout. And OGX pull one right out, so must have heard me, but more importantly, good intuition to finally get a bit more proactive here on the defense, which is one way of dealing with kind of this slow default style. Find out for yourself where they are.
Not too bad. And yeah, Mori is the one who fell too, so that kind of weakens your entry capabilities. Got Crescent still and some flashes available. Then again, Lin is pretty low, and they've just got spotted as soon as that dark cover drops. However, without much time, NWJ has to commit, and with that, it's diminishing returns, Black and Blue. They have to push out of this dark cover, or they're just sitting ducks, and they're trying to find whatever shot they can get. OGX trying to play disciplined and careful. Off angles being held. Japeeps onto the triple kill now. 2 more and she would have get an ace. She's looking on for it. She gets another headshot, and with 3 seconds remaining, Aureophilia does not want to give it to her. Here's those footsteps, and here it comes. Japeeps swings out, peekaboo, heads down, and it's OGX tying things up 4-4.
Lovely stuff here coming from Japeeps, obviously playing that lane to perfection. The big fragment as well there. That's great backup coming from the rest of OGX. You can see the flashes, that fragment as well, the molly, as we called it. And yeah, as soon as they lost Yamori on that jet, just kind of getting bottlenecked within the choke, they play that contact, kind of stalls and burns time off of NWJ's clock. And once more, also just shakes them up for map control, you know, early on, or at least mid throughout the round. Made it so much easier for OGX to hold on, but look at this. Early ult to try and initiate with, but doesn't find much, if anything.
I thought they were going to rush off of it, but they got discouraged by this perfectly timed dark cover from Casper. So now I just got to wait it out.
Too from Sway.
Oh, yes.
Just told him to halt.
Stop moving forward. Just stop. Freeze. And they kind of listened. So now they're trying to find another option. Dark cover from our affiliate towards mid. Maybe we're trying to cross. Maybe we're trying to fake it a little. But OGX aren't really biting the bait. Look at them. They're just staying in the same spots. They trust in Aruma's operator.
No real reason to kind of rotate now, and the Hans can confirm presence still here in B main. And now that sends a rotate, but they don't have the best time to try and work things out. Too thorough coming on the opposing side. You can see Yamori just trying to find her timing. They're really looking for a split here, as they don't have time to necessarily crawl their way in A
30 seconds
as much as they would like to. And here it comes. He said it. Suppress on out. There's actually a catch out where that operator is, but still alive.
And with 20 seconds left, now they're trying to make their move. Aruma still just kind of holding the position, being smoked out by the Cloudburst now, but can't connect the shot. She swaps to the Headhunter instead. 10 seconds, and she's taking down some targets along with her. But NWJ makes it hard as well. 1 player left, and it's going to be Japeeps. Can't quite land the spray, and the tracking will not happen today. It's 5-4. NWJ comes up back on the lead.
I can't believe NWJ still came out with that round with, what, 20 seconds left, trying to push on towards the site. Defensive smokes up there. You can see them, they smoke off that stairs. It was looking pretty good for OGX. They just were in opportunities, actually, that were pretty good for them. Unfortunately, could not connect on those opportunities given. An open window is only as good as the person who hops through it in the middle of the night. And in this case, OGX... They couldn't open the window. I mean, well, never mind. They couldn't hop through the open window. There's a problem.
Yeah, sometimes your foot gets caught, I guess.
You would know, Quack. How many open windows you'd be hopping into or out of?
What are you insinuating right now? Regardless, off of that loss, it's OGX, and they've got an eco right now. NWJ, I mean, like you mentioned, right? They cut noise and they still go in for hits, and sometimes it just surprises OGX, who have been trying to play it safe as much as possible. Now on the eco round, they're getting a little bit proactive. We're pushing out of B main, and we don't see anyone. You know what that means. It's probably an A hit. Aruma positioned on the A site on top of A heaven. She has to be ready to receive them. Casper just preemptively puts up the dark cover to discourage them from peeking through. And again, this runs down the clock, Black and Blue.
Well, they don't have the most favorable buy for sure on the defense, but they're all set up in the right place to try and deny this, or at least make it difficult here for the push. Scythe dash on in for an overrun who is within the site. Aruma is kind of trapped here. Doesn't really even have a rendezvous set up. Actually, she does, but I didn't think she was going to be able to pop it in time, considering how flooded they got. In the end, though, everything just goes towards Scythe's way anyways. It's a valiant effort, but ultimately doesn't lead to much.
I guess it's a bit of the gunplay and positioning as well. I mean, there's only so much that you could do. And even with the info that OGX had retrieved by pushing into B main, NWJ just came in and clicked heads. Recon perfectly sussed out Aruma's position. Henceforth, Yamori used the tailwind to entry into the right side of A, closer towards Dice, and that's where she's able to isolate some of these angles, get some taps in, and with that, everyone from OGX dropped like flies. Now it's the full buy, and OGX are trying to go proactive. They're pushing out into B main. They're taking a bit of damage, dealing a bit as well. Back, Japips, a bit of a trade, but SCYTHE just goes in. It's contact plays into B, Black and Blue. We've got a bit of a chase going on. OGX trying to wrap back around from B main.
They kind of tried to trap them there towards that B main, towards that lobby, but just didn't work on out. Great defensive smoke from Oreophilia to block out that male position, rather that link position, and allow them to just focus on the task at hand, the bigger threat, which was B main, which led to the plant anyways. Yeah, as Tan mentioned, retake here. They have the null command to try and shut down some of this util, but will they make it here?
It's the positioning that I'm worried about. Yeah, triple stack. And Yamori's already gotten the first one. Tailwind available again. She preps it. Aruma finds a shot right back. But now she's the only one left. Her teammate fell because of the push, and she's running out of time. Lynn goes in for a bit of a burst with her Phantom just to finish things off. And with a 7-4 scoreline right now, it's already a different story than the last time SCYTHE NWJ went up against Orangutan X on a sit.
Oh, just lovely stuff here from NWJ. That was a big surprise too, to connect. Quite fortunate actually, here coming from the attack, coming from Crescents to kind of start off that fight, shutting down any notions of like maybe an extra Prowler or an extra Hunt or even Paranoia coming through around the corner from Casper. Allowed them to be a bit more, I guess, secured in that fight. But look at this, quick A main take already, could springboard into an execute, and here they come. Casper forced out of position. They're gonna have to go for retake, but good shot here from Sway.
All right, we're gonna have to back off of it. So kind of gives NWJ the set for the time being, but that's it. A lot of players from OGX are prepped and ready. Torley still has her utility as well, so the paint shells, along with the Judge and the blast packs, could make for a really good entry. You've got a bit of lurk from A short though. SCYTHE's up inside the garden, spots Japips, but Japips takes her down instead, and here comes the retake. Oreophilia Lynn holding on well, coming in from Hell, as well as Jenny. Goes in through, gets another shot. Casper coming up from above, a bit of support and the tags, but Lynn just wallbangs it through with the recon that she gets. It's gonna be an 8-4 at the end of the first half.
Lovely stuff from Lynn. Insane once more, but even more crazy is our panel's got quite a few words to say.
Maybe we are feeling a little bit crazy, especially after that round. I mean, we mentioned how NWJ, Colden, we were questioning like, okay, maybe they're tired coming from yesterday, but it kind of looks like they didn't stop playing,
Yeah, I really like how NWJ approached that side of attack, right? You saw how they were so methodical. It came down to last second executes multiple times, and that kind of whittled down the utility from OGX, right? When you reached so late in the round, they realized that, hey, we might not have enough dark covers, especially with the chamber, right? You don't have a lot of utility to actually stop and execute. And we saw that multiple times on the B side, right? Where Aruma was caught between different angles. There wasn't really much opportunities to find kills at the back of B side as well. And this slow pace, OGX just weren't able to adapt it in time. And I mean, Lin Vision, I mean, what a beautiful series of kills that she got there right at the end. It's a beautiful symphony coming in from SCYTHE. And honestly, I think that they're reading OGX really, really well. And they're not really making the most out of that Raze/Fade composition. I would like to see a little bit more synergy with the nade, with the C's, and I think that's going to be coming into fruition when we swap over to the attacking side for OGX, right? They have the opportunity now to let Aruma work the map, they let Twirly to take more of those aggressive duels, and maybe they might turn things around, but right now SCYTHE looks really, really strong.
Yeah, I'm gonna be really interested to see how these teams are gonna play once the side switch, right? Because NWJ's attacking pace was a little bit confusing, and you kind of felt like OGX didn't know how to read or anticipate them. Now that the sides are switching, is it gonna be the other way around? Is it time for that comeback for OGX? We're gonna find out as we step back into Ascent, so over to you, casters.
Oh, I think Mika's forgotten our names again, Black and Blue. But thank you very much, panel. And I mean, they're absolutely right. We would love to see more of that synergy between some of the agents, but it hasn't quite shown up just yet. It's a little bit of confusion right now, but a great showing for NWJ nonetheless. And Lin, such a debut performance. This is her first time in Game Changers APAC Elite, and she's up on top with crazy utility usage and 15 kills and 5 deaths.
Well, we noticed that from the earlier matches, right? When they played other teams in this tournament specifically, we saw them versus RRQ Kaguya. Yeah, they did take the L, but Lin was a standout performer in a lot of those maps. It's not surprising here that things are turning out well for her. It's more for OGX, who just, as Koldan has talked about on the panel, we didn't really see that synergy that you expecting from a comp like this. Aruma taking the fight, but it's actually SCYTHE who comes out on top.
They're just going in for scraps. And SCYTHE, yeah, she gets the kill. Down to 15 health. So, I don't know, a simple sneeze could take her down. But again, it's up to OGX and whatever their game plan is, which right now just isn't really coming to fruition. A bit of a scuffle. We lost Aruma. Everyone's rotating back over to B now. And I guess we're cutting noise and just going in for it.
4v5, more importantly, on the site itself, you got the double stack here from NWJ. Push on it. It's going to be up to Trolley to try and dismantle this, but I think they have a pretty good lockdown on this. Defensive smoke being put up on here, and Sway is still able to get SCYTHE down. They get the trades going equally. In 3v3, they stand. The stairs already occupied, and theirs are pushing on in. They're getting the retake coming on in. Quack here real quick. Twirly gets the one to shut them on down. They're all in the boat, trying to keep them sunk, but they're gonna stay alive and wade through the waves. OGX take a pistol.
Unsinkable, Black and Blue. They just stayed inside of Boathouse, all three of them, each one and every one ducking in and out of cover. Starting things off with Twirly and Sway, of course, going in together. Lin did a pretty good job at holding her own, but that said, once the spike went down, the pressure was on for NWJ, and they tried to rush in with a retake. Every single player from OGX taking pot shots with their ghosts inside of Boathouse. It was a lovely sight, and here we go, back into the game.
NWJ, unfortunately, could not stay alive their Crescents, I think, within the smoke as well, towards that backside with Lin. They did get a few picks off, but ultimately the rest of the push, I guess, wasn't able to capitalize off that. The rest of the retake, the second wave of the reinforcement. OGX taking importance here into this pizza position now even, which you can see NWJ are not really playing to contest. They want B main control more than anything. If they do flood out from market, taking B main would be a great way to have a bit more control on the site.
Well, they do have Casper around B main if they want to make that happen. But giving up too much space and initiative now. NWJ starting to peek out. Casper walks straight into another player. She spotted him. A bit of damage towards A short as well. And OGX just continues to dominate. They've got the guns this round, and they are making their gunplay work a wonder. Lin is the next to fall, and B side is completely wide open.
Very nice, thorough cleanup here. Coming from Orangutan, so flawless as well. lovely stuff. I really like that round from Orangutan, how they made sure not to kind of hastily make a decision, really clear things out, make sure, hey, we don't have B main controls and we can be there. Obviously, Aruma being a menace here towards mid helps. The rest of the team also following suit, so
Yeah.
OGX, they're in the proper path to start to close up and come back on this. But NWJ against their bonus, probably going to gain one.
Let's see if they can make it happen. If OGX wins the bonus, that would be huge for their momentum. But like you mentioned, right, it's just spick and span. We're cleaning house. Don't know if the same thing can happen this time around, though. Playing it slow might just allow for OGX to play into NWJ's hands. And look at how careful they're being right now. OGX, Aruma and SCYTHE, a bit of a duel inside of B main. She's calling for that info right now. Teams rotating over back into B. Huh. Okay.
Well, they do have mid control at least to utilize.
We're gonna Prowler into Elise.
There's no real trap there, yeah. I think that might be the idea. Although they assumedly still in contact, but they've made themselves known, and Lin and SCYTHE have no problem dealing with them at all. They know they're up close. They carried out equally, actually. The 3v3 as the site is theirs, and we're gonna get a retake from NWJ.
Still would have wanted something cleaner from Orangutan X, but that said, good lurk coming in from Casper. She's going to buy a bit of time away from NWJ, distract them away from their market hit.
Yeah.
But everyone's still in position. Casper coming back in towards B main. Now she's been blocked off by the dark cover from Oreophilia. But still, angles being held inside of Boathouse and on site. OGX continues to try and defend. Japips swings, gets another shot. It's down to Oreophilia now in a 1-on-2, and she's completely surrounded. Casper from up above nails it through. It's gonna be OGX with that bonus win. Black and blue.
Yeah, nice round there from Japips, especially kind of hold on at the end. As you mentioned, would have liked to see it a bit more, I guess, clean from OGX there in the opening bout, but hey, being able to rectify those mistakes are pretty good as well. OGX, another round gained, you mentioned it. Winning the bonus would do wonders for their momentum, and here we are, 3 straight from them, which we actually haven't seen for quite a few rounds now. Actually, we haven't seen a streak like this from OGX at all throughout this game.
And this is the same issue that plagued NWJ the last time they played against Orangutan X. Somehow in the second half, things start to fall apart. And with OGX brimming with confidence right now, they're just starting to take bites. A good bit of utility from Sway. One player down. Yamori banged up to 11 HP. And with this round win coming potentially soon, OGX would effectively tie up the scoreline. So that is why momentum is such a big factor. Again, mid has been blocked off by Casper's dark cover. Crescents has to kind of tuck tail and hide on the other side. Casper's gonna lurk again, Black and Blue.
And WJ must suck to be them right now. Always getting bested here by OGX. Has information, but no, still can't connect the shot. At least Lin is there to back her on up. Luckily so. You get the rifle, but this is still pretty out of reach so far.
Now, Lin has been very, very impressive. I mean, a little bit iffy with the way that they want to take that fight, but still coming back into it. That said, despite picking up the Phantom, Sway just comes up. They anticipated and they read the situation correctly, knowing where NWJ would show up from, and kind of timed it into a full spray down as well. 8-8, we tie things up.
One enemy remaining.
Obviously against Nico, not the most ideal situation for NWJ to be in, but this is where they have to make their stop. Yamori, not exactly having the best game so far, but that might change potentially with the op, trying to bring something new into this defense, and let's see how that really works on out.
Whoa.
You can see utility here being committed by OGX on the attack, and now they know the op is available and online here towards A. Just accordingly now, so it's a big surprise factor from NWJ's defense, removed early, or at least found out early.
All right, shots fired. And look at that. Off of it, OGX instantly backs off and heads towards B instead. And Aruma has always been taking duels against Sky Elise towards this spot now. This time, Sky Elise kind of comes out a little bit triumphant, getting a tag onto Aruma, but then she backs off safely. So just kind of playing around the information that NWJ are getting.
Certainly going to help things on out as the push continues. Twirly fly through the air. Should get a kill off of this. The second not going to follow up as Sky Elise good for the trade.
Alright, still suppressed, but she's still very much alive. Sky Elise trying to buy enough time for her team to rotate over. She's kind of done just that, but unfortunately not quite able to secure a kill of her own. So it's a 3-on-4 scenario, Black and Blue. It's tough. A 0 point comes in just for a bit more information or distraction, but still retaking with the off. It's not easy. A pop flash comes through, and Crescents takes another shot. Aruma with another angle, though. Easy trades. Casper coming back in from B main, and there's so much for NWJ to look out for. Yamori swaps on over to the Classic to try to deal with Casper, but can't connect. The shot, it whiffs, and OGX continues on with their win streak.
And that's exactly why it's super effective to have that Omen towards that B main. Paranoia can be thrown on out. He can cross safely from B main into maybe somewhere like Switch without them knowing or being exactly sure where the cross happens, and just many ways to play around that. You can see that Paranoia pressure always just being such a big thing OGX rely on in a lot of their initiates and a lot of their fights, and SCYTHE are put into another eco state here. Look at this. Low HP instantly for Mori.
Oh, that's painful. They're trying to look for those picks, but too many players from OG, and they're playing together. Now getting sprayed through as well. Sky Elise somehow eats a bullet to the face. It might have been a stray one coming through that dark cover as well, so painful indeed. Apart from this, though, I mean, it's just the fact that the win streak coming in from OGX and SCYTHE NWJ, I want to see a timeout being called. I know they don't have a coach, but they kind of need to reassess their options right now. Taking blind shots through dark cover, not going to do too much, and at the very least, they're getting information, reading the map.
They're tagging him up quite a bit. Yamori spam through the smoke so far. Dark cover kills here coming on in. Ophelia, not the same sort of success in that attempt they've had otherwise. The push up here from Lynn, though, perhaps she can find and take the kill off of Aruma with a judge in her hands. That's exactly what happens. The 1v3 stands once more with the top performer in the position to make something happen, which ultimately doesn't. 10-8 OGX. What a run here on the second half. That's a 6-round streak we've seen.
And Japips is happy about that on the player cam. NWJ, they need a timeout, man. I'm saying it. Crescents or someone needs to call it. But right now, I mean, apart from Lynn's performance, maybe a bit of anchoring from Sky Elise, we haven't seen that much from this team, apart from their better shot in the first half. I mean, we started off 8-4, Black and Blue. What's just happened? They haven't won a single round since the second half started.
This is a attacker side map where OGX finally just waking on up to play. Look at this contact from OGX, just trying to push on in here. NWJ trying to get aggressive, but for the most part, it's OGX who stands out on top. 1v2 trade, not unwinnable by Sky Elise by any means.
Good brawl. Put Sky Elise in the 1-on-2. She's got the lockdown, and she is going to use it. Let's see if any fish bite this bait. They might be flushed out of position because of this. Japips peeks out, but Aruma's got her back. I mean, just around the edge of the lockdown, she finds a shot. 11-8 now. 11-8.
I'm not sure if committing to the ult there was the best idea in a 1v2. Not the best HP available as well. Play off the surprise factor, maybe. They were separated, so maybe a contact play could have worked out, but hindsight is always a lot more, I guess, fortunate than otherwise would be. OGX, bunch of ultimates to throw on out, but more importantly, they're playing this really well now. Really reciprocating any contact plays NWJ have on the defense. Very, very amicably, and also pretty disciplined at making sure that none of these corners go too unchecked and no marks are going unanswered.
A little bit better. And it's very likely that we're gonna go into match point, Black and Blue. This is tough, tough nails for NWJ. They're trying to hold their ground. They're being blocked off by dark covers, and still with OGX treading carefully. They started off in B, now they're walking towards A. Not a lot of info for NWJ.
Yeah, well, that scan is going to give them false bit of security, going to keep that defense towards B as well, which it's all panning out in perfection here for OGX, it seems. Out comes the Nightfall just to be sure. They don't clear the right side just yet with that, but there's no one there to worry about.
Yeah, a bit of paranoia for extra security as well. They managed to take the site. OGX relatively safe. Maybe a bit of a wall bang and SCYTHE takes some damage, but it's not the worst thing in the world. And look at how they're trying to cut them off on rotations as well. Torley with the Phantom, a bit of a whiff initially, but Casper here to back her up and a couple more kills going their way. Lid coming in with a Stinger now, fades away and catches a shot onto Torley's head. They continue to push on through. They retrieve the Phantom and they're trying to set up a bit of a split retake. Crescent aggressively peeking out with the pop flash, finds a shot. Japip making it a trade, and Casper now going back into hell. Japip still able to hold it down, and Aruma coming in from A main finds a shot onto Lin. It is now match point, ladies and gents.
Things have turned around. Attackers' side of this map seems to be now. NWJ performing much better on that side, to say the very least, in the first half, and obviously same goes now for OGX, who seemingly woken on up. NWJ just... I mean, they have ultimates in this round, but can they continue that? Gain their first, and then their next 4 unstoppably, and just bring us to overtime?
It's over, Black and Blue.
It's a tall ask, is what I'm saying.
It is, it is. And Lin's firing blindly with the Odin right now. She has to go back in for a reload. She's got the Hunter Spear. Can't quite use it yet, but doesn't matter because Skyleys just drops into logs. Picks up a double. OGX have to back away.
Recognized she could be there. No Molly to flush out that logs position, and they pay a hefty price. NWJ, lovely stuff here to stop the momentum from OGX. Could be that one round that has been elusive for them. Great spam off of the recon as well from Lin. And NWJ have come to this round to play.
She's just like firing off on that Odin. I almost hear maniacal laughter coming up from Lin. And with that, 2 players remaining on OGX. A bounty on their backs. And NWJ, they want to keep, they want to hold on to their weapons, so they're not blindly pushing, they're not hunting. Casper tries to make a bit of a shot at set play, but instantly sussed out by Skyleys.
30 seconds left.
And Sway gets tagged up by the 0 points.
I think she wasn't entirely hidden by the dark cover there, too. It was a bit too deep. Oh, the scan perfect as well here for the defense, and Lin closing it out as well.
Maybe we just gotta buy Odins.
It is part of the meta nowadays. If you're playing on Lotus or Ascent, to just have one player on that Odin anyways. It denies so much early control. If you have economy for it, obviously.
Oh, if you have economy for it. Let's see.
What are you doing?
I mean, they lost a lot of rounds, so there are definitely some rounds where they were kind of broke. So now they've got it. OGX respecting B main a lot more this time. So it comes down to how NWJ controls A instead. A short or Ophelia jump peaks. We've got Sway in the corner, but she's gonna get sussed out by the Prowler. Have to back out right now. Paint shells coming through. They're so uncomfortable. Crescent's going in for the spray. Manages to bang down Torley. And that is a bit of a win for NWJ. 4 players left on OGX trying to find another avenue of entry.
Yeah, that's good recovery here from the defense. Could have been a lot more disastrous in the outcome, and yet they come out on top for the most part. The defense seemingly assuming it could go towards B, but you can see now Crescent's trying to get back here towards the fight. Obviously, quite a bit expended there in that opening bout here for OGX, so it's going to leave him a bit more dry in terms of utility to try and get on in. The suppress, huge here coming from that triple for them. Yamori connects as well to shut that push down, but May from Casper is still going to be alive. Presence on the one, they shut her down, and OGX have responded 2v2. And both of them are low though.
Yeah, through the firefight, in the midst of all that chaos, OGX somehow able to find more frags. And I knew that they were just saving these ultimates for the retake. And here comes the Hunter's Fury, managing to tag up onto a couple of them, but not full damage. Shock darts go through as well, and there's the Nano Swarm, takes down Pips, and now all we've got to worry about is Casper. She's up on top of Heaven, right around the edge of the dark cover, just gets spotted out by SCYTHE, and with those ultimates spent, NWJ comes back. It's 10-2, not over yet.
And nicely done here, coming from NWJ. Lin, smart use of the Hunter's Fury to kind of flush out the front sight, forcing them to kind of plant for CT, for Heaven. And that's where they knew they could just line up their utility and deny one of the only two possible plant positions in that case. Either Jenny or towards that dice, so lovely stuff. Once again, I've been saying it quite a bit in this game because we've seen many kind of adjustments come on in between both of these teams. And look at Lin, 23 on her debut. Elite, lovely play.
Yeah, she's amazing. How would you rate their stuff again, Black and Blue?
What do you mean?
Would you say it's lovely?
It's streets ahead.
It's streets ahead, yes, thank you. And then we're gonna go look for the Biblioteca after this. I mean, it's Orangutan X's timeout, so one could say that they are in that Biblioteca right now, trying to study up, trying to figure out a way to deny that overtime, because they're getting dangerously close. I mean, they've got economy because they've won that many rounds in a row, sure, but they lose this round, and it's going to be 12-11. Don't want that to happen. They've got some ultimates in the bank. Aruma with the Tour de Force, Pips with the Nightfall. They can make things happen. Just haven't seen it yet.
Well, they got the op here on Yamori, but she hasn't had herself the most fortunate game so far. You're trying to get aggressive here. We talked about that Tour de Force. Oh, Team Flash just a bit. But at least they've made a bit of noise here towards mid. So far, NWJ have been successful in kind of mitigating some of that short pressure, but I'm not sure if they have the right positions to do it this time.
Playing very far back. Ophelia might be able to just toss out a Paranoia or something right here, but I think they're just trying to avoid that Odin as well, trying to keep it hidden. Lin managed to fire a couple of shots, and it's a bit of damage. Ophelia takes a hit, and that's going to be a bit of a trade. 4-4 now. OGX has managed to capture Heaven, and off of that, they continue to rotate through. It's going to be a mid to B hit this time, and Casper finding 2 kills along with that movement. This is now going to be an open B site, and Aruma watching the angle. Okay, turns away at the last second. So, repositions and finds a better angle towards Yamori. Whiffs onto Lin, but it's the Odin versus the Tour de Force. I don't like how this is going, Black and Blue. Doesn't feel comfortable. 1-on-3 situation for Lin to walk through. She's gonna get denied by so much utility. Has to stay further back for just another second. Goes in with the peek on the ADS, but it leaves her vulnerable, and Sway makes it impossible. It's 13-10 at the end of the day, and OGX takes the map.
What a decision for them to make there to kind of split it and kind of divert all the way into the defender's side spawn, go into B, but more importantly, the Nightfall there are huge to try and flush out SCYTHE. Or Ophelia maybe had a chance to throw out the flash or Paranoia when they were coming towards tree, but obviously too much pressure coming her way. Didn't know if someone was about to round the corner. Could have gone a different way. Good effort being put up for sure here by NWJ SCYTHE. It just ultimately too little too late, just the lead being erased and then surmounted on by OGX was too much for them to handle.
And you know what's crazy? Like, this is almost the same score line as the last time they played a set, and a big win streak for OGX. But you know what? Our panelists will break down exactly how all this went down. So Mika and Koldan, on to you guys.
Thank you very much, Quack and Black and Blue. I did not forget your names. How dare you? How dare you accuse me of such a thing? But I will definitely say that that was the most ambitious rotation that I've seen, I think, this year. I'm so glad that it paid off for OGX, especially since it looked like NWJ were building some sort of momentum towards those last few rounds, and it was almost getting a little bit too dicey. But OGX, they were able to close it out after that very crucial timeout, Golden.
Yeah, exactly what you said. That last round was the most ridiculous pathing I've ever seen a team take the hit to the B side, right? They went to mid, went up catwalk, went to tree, went all the way to heaven, realized that the last two players were actually on that A side. So a brilliant call made by Sway in the mid rounds, right? To call a team back, say, guys, let's actually win this. Let's not SCYTHE NWJ pull off something that they did yesterday, right? We saw, I had kind of flashbacks, right, to the GEX game where they mounted their comeback round by round, bit by bit, but this time around, OGX completely turned a new leaf. I don't know, they just look like an insane different team on that attacking side. Historically, these two teams have been slightly more defender-sided in their win rates, but today, OGX looking amazing. Everybody on OGX stood, stepped up. Twirly 17 and 18, not the most amazing scoreline, but if you take a look down the scoreboard, everybody's putting up numbers, and that is the difference that really resulted in OGX beating SCYTHE today.
We do have to commend Lin though, especially with the Odin plays, the surprise Odin plays. But not just that, it wasn't just the weaponry, but Lin is just definitely one of those players on the side of NWJ that just has this amazing game sense, amazing timing as well, to be able to deliver such amazing rounds for the team, right? But unfortunately for NWJ, they just came up a little bit short. I think the momentum they were building in those last few rounds was just a little bit too late. And for OGX, hey, they're that comeback team that we were talking about, right? We do know that when it gets a little dicey, that's actually where OGX thrives, and that's what they needed. They came back, I think, 9-ish rounds in a row. So yeah, that's like OGX in their home court, so to say. And right now, it looks like to map number 2, which is gonna be Lotus, and Twirly here on the Rays. I think that we're gonna see the Rays on Twirly yet again as we go into map number 2. But yeah, I mean, going back into the first half of this map, I feel like OGX was first a little bit confused as how to read NWJ, because they were doing some really strange strategies, right? Like the sub 30 kind of push for plants, right? It was a little bit disorienting for any team, right? And then suddenly, when they would execute, you would have these clashes where you weren't exactly sure what was going on, but then NWJ would come out on top, even though OGX had the site surrounded. So there was something there, I think, for both of these teams. I think it's going into Lotus, it could still be anybody's game with the way both of these teams are playing. But we're gonna have to see. Right now, OGX, yes, they do have that one map, but let's not forget how close that one map was.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a brilliant showing coming from OGX, and I think it's a sign for things to come, right? Sometimes it takes a little while to warm up. The first game is not the best, but they've already got this first map in their back pocket, and now moving on to Lotus, and they got Haven, as a safety precaution later on if they require to. So I think now they're sitting pretty SCYTHE, great showing on the first half, but an abysmal defense, if I'm gonna be honest. So I'm very curious to see how they will perform on Lotus. It is gonna be SCYTHE's, it's gonna be OG's map pick actually. So looking like OG is in top form right now. I'm curious to see how that map will pair out. Yeah,
it's getting even more and more dangerous for NWJ, right? So I do hope they have something planned for Lotus, which is gonna be our second map, which will be coming up right after this very quick break.
Show me what you got. Back that up, 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 ba Show me what you got. Show me what you got. Down, up, back, back, up, got down, up, back, back, got down, up, back, back, up, got down, up, back, back, 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 up. Ain't no reason to back down, so step it up. Got down, up, back, back, up, got down, up, back, back, got down, up, back, back, up, got down, up, back, back, got down, up, back, back,
Welcome back, ladies and gents, and we are on to map number 2 between OGX and NWJ. And right now we saw that, it was getting really close between both of these teams. NWJ showing no signs yet of fatigue from yesterday, and OGX looking very refreshed indeed. OGX, though, managed to take our first map, which was Ascent. Now going into Lotus, though, Colden, what are we expecting here? I mean, you have both of these teams that I guess, sometimes NWJ does bring out the Reina, right, on Lotus. We did see it not too long ago. And in the meantime, on the side of OGX, I'm expecting Twirly to still stick with the Raze.
I think Raze is a fantastic pick on Lotus, right? But, looking back at their history, I went and did a bit of digging. The last time they played this, actually, SCYTHE were the one to pick Lotus. And then OGX won that map. So, I don't know, maybe foreshadowing what's gonna happen later today. I mean, the last time they played Ascent, right, it was OGX's pick. It went OGX's way, but NWJ still picked it into them. This time it's Lotus. The last time when they were Big SCYTHE, right? Big SCYTHE won. Big SCYTHE picked that map, but now OGX is the one picking into it. So it's a bit of mind games, I would say, in this matchup right here. It's really interesting to see how the teams are actually picking into each other's map picks that they played previously, coming in with new ideas. Unfortunately, we didn't really see that come into fruition on Ascent, but I'm curious to see how OGX is going to be approaching this one, right? You've got a couple of changes, so the composition is not going to be the same as they did the last time they played. But yes, again, I'm expecting that Raze. I think Fade is another great pick, and we've seen that they have that inclination to play that synergy, that kind of combo together. So I think SCYTHE's got to be on their back foot, right? They're going to be up against the wall. Let's see if they can, really bring that fight to OGX, because I like what I saw in Ascent, especially in that second half. And if that continues, then it's going to be a pretty long day for SCYTHE.
Yeah, indeed, another one, right? Back to back. But I think that for OGX, as we mentioned, it's like when it comes to endurance for the series, I feel like they do have the tenure to be able to pull it through, right? And as we did see, you know, like the addition of Sway, for example, has led to like some the sudden and impulsive, like, you know, kind of decisions, the calls that are so unconventional. So like I love those calls. That we saw a lot of them on Ascent, but right now it looks like we are going into a mirror matchup. That's what we were expecting on Ascent, but for now we're gonna see it here on Lotus. This is gonna be really interesting indeed. Seeing Lin go over from the Sentinel role over to or rather the Initiator from the to a Viper this time around on Lotus. So this is gonna be very interesting indeed. Seeing her match up against Sway.
Yeah, Lynn's playing that sort of fill position for the team. So we've seen her on what feels like every single agent in the pool.
The great flexer.
Exactly. And yeah, she's flexing in the server with her scores as well. So it might not be too different. I think she is a fantastic addition as the Viper. She plays a crucial role as a sort of anchor player alongside the Killjoy. So she's going to be tasked with, you know, those lurks, especially with how she times her Viper wall to go up and down, right? It really can feign presence in certain parts of the map. But again, right, going back to the agent compositions, being a mirror matchup, it really comes down to how you utilize the utilities together as a team. You're not going to be expecting anything weird such as a Neon coming in, but it really comes down to how you want to work with each other and really determines who's going to be the winner.
Yeah, we're gonna see that teamwork really come into play here on this 3-site map, Lotus. Map number 2 here, is it gonna be the final one for the series? We're gonna find out, so I'm gonna pass it over to Quack and Black and Blue.
Thank you very much, Mika. I know you always remembered our names, but it's always a bit of a tough spot to be in right now after having lost the first map. And remember, this is already double elimination. This is the lower bracket, so this one's for all the biscuits. If you don't get this, you are out of the tournament. SCYTHE NWJ has to come back huge, and it's a little bit tough. The map Lotus, I mean, it's OGX's map pick, isn't it?
I mean, it doesn't matter if it's OGX's map pick or not, because if you look at this veto, all 3 of these maps are the 3 top statistically most highest win rate maps we've seen from OGX throughout this entire year. That is currently in the map pool. You know, obviously Icebox not there, yada yada yada. But these 3, you look at, you know, Lotus, Haven, and a while ago Ascent are the top 3. So not the most favorable battleground for SCYTHE to be playing in for sure. But Orangutan, hey, they've taken away map number 1 in spectacular fashion, coming back from a deficit, and now looking to kind of get off to the races here for the opener of map 2.
Yeah, just gonna have to do whatever you can, and hopefully maybe SCYTHE NWJ can come back and push us into the 3rd map. But then again, it's a lot of maps that kind of, let's be honest, favor Orangutan X, and that's why map pools are important as well. SCYTHE NWJ trying to show us what they've got. They made it really close on Ascent. They had a really good start, but it kind of fell flat, and hopefully this time around it's going to be a different story. Again, like our panelists were talking about, agent composition, it's a full-on mirror, so it all comes down to the game plan, the strats, the calling. And what we've seen is that OGX does a little bit better, especially with our rotation from earlier on.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how you start, but how you end. In NWJ, that's one piece of the puzzle they're looking to try and find here in this map number 2. Obviously, contact made towards that B, sending the defense a bit more flustered back into their anchorable positions. Looking to flex here coming on in as the door opens up. That kind of insinuates for OGX to go towards A instead.
Alright, just same thing, information getting pushed back, and we're rotating into a player. It's gonna be SkyElise as the anchor, and she lands a great shot. 2 digs, and it's Sway who takes the pit. The turret gets the kill as well because of the fragile debuff coming in from the alarm bot. They continue to push through. NWJ's already here, ready to receive. Crescents makes a trade happen after Capsper gets a kill, but here comes Yamor continuing to push downstairs, and the spike is dropped. Iruma trying to push back up with her lurk from B. Going back through, she tries to reposition, wants to stay hidden long enough to be able to find a couple more
30
kills. She
seconds
only
left.
has a classic though, and that's where it's a little bit difficult. The spike is dropped down right at the edge of stairs, and yeah, dropping through the rope. She's made a bit of noise, and SCYTHE, another headshot coming through. The MVP of this round, and it gives NWJ the pistol win.
Fantastic hold there from SCYTHE, but I guess the fake out here on Twirly was the fact that, yeah, the Trailblazer didn't connect, coming from the peeps, allowed her to kind of utilize, especially there, the fragile state of the alarm bot. As you mentioned, simple right click takes him on down, and the rest of OGX just can't stabilize as they lose kind of their forefronting agents here. It's an eco for them. One they're looking to try and take by force. How they deal with this. Ophelia obviously good for the one. Try and fall back, but there's no chance that OGX are coming out with the kill there.
Blinded.
Alright, still, yeah, the Bulldogs. So we're really low. So she's unfortunately gonna fall, and now Casper and Twirly trying to just find a bit of space, but look at the positioning from NWJ right now. They know they have this in the bag. A bit of a blind spray coming in from Lin, and somehow Casper managed to get a shot with this classic on towards Ophelia instead, so her counterpart gone. She picks up the Bulldog, and now has 50 seconds to try and, I don't know, do whatever she can. She's a little bit paranoid that someone could be flanking up around her. Tries to push around back. Trailblazer invites her in for a peek, and she catches Lin. Headshots through, down to 50 HP, and now tries to continue to suss out positions. She's no longer worried about upper. Goes back in for a bit of a crouch peek into Yomori, though, and that's where the Spectre does its thing. 2-0. A bit of damage, but not too bad nonetheless.
It was actually quite doable there. Fortunately so, it doesn't pan out the way here of OGX, but nice attempt by all means, coming from Casper. It made something happen, but at the very least they do damage economically here. OGX coming up with a buy, and so far, once more akin to Ascent on how NWJ were playing their attack. OGX this time a bit more contact heavy, not necessarily kind of bulldozing their way. The default has been the name of the game.
Yeah, ever since Ascent, both teams have been just kind of carefully traversing across the map, just trying to work off of info that they retrieve. But neither side is really giving up all that much, and this is really because of the pressure and the fact that this is the lower bracket right now. OGX wants to make sure that they can capitalize off of their previous win, but NWJ does not want to lose. They don't want to drop out of the tournament just yet.
OGX slowly crawling their way on up. As soon as they pass this threshold, the alarm bot's gonna signal to the defense, hey, we're here. Once they hear it, they find it, rather they see it. Utility dropping and raining on down the defense here in a bit of a conundrum, but Len's able to get the one, and somehow the Nano Swarm also got the tag on the Twirly. The equalize 3v3, but that's good damage being done here already by NWJ.
Spike planted.
With that, Spike goes down. Full buy's coming into fruition. It's still right around the corner. NWJ tries to find some shots. They've managed to skirt around a bit of early utility, but they don't have enough space just yet. Crescent's down, makes a move. They no longer have to worry about that flank. It's Ophelia, and somehow they line up for her at the end. The Bulldog, 2 headshots back to back. It's NWJ, and they've gotten the bonus win.
Through the wall as well? How did that connect? You can see even she's surprised. The stars align, and what an answer, I guess, responded to. Reach for a prayer. You got just more than a miracle. Lovely stuff. Of course, here, you have to acknowledge just the effort being put. The alarm bot obviously kind of telegraphing that Aruma was behind that smoke towards a rubble a bit more, towards that murder door. That's where they were able to find her. But another strong start to a map here from NWJ.
Good win streak. Let's see if they can get more. especially on Lotus. Starting things out this way is always a good sign, but all of a sudden OGX decides to rush in with a bit of an eco buy. It's the Stinger, but it doesn't quite connect. Lin is going to be able to shut down that initial push, but still space has been created. But what is this? OGX continues to try to bulldoze through, and while they are sustaining damage, Casper does find a bit of a kill, picks up the Vandal, and Spike is being delivered over onto C. Lin is right around the corner. Barrel might not have been spotted out yet, and it's another crouch peek. Lin easily makes work of this. Aruma is the only one left that can do something about this.
Lin has been so sharp. Super impressive. For me, I think in this tournament specifically, the biggest surprise we've had as an individual player. He's been really showing on up, putting great stake into her name from performances, as what we've seen a while ago and throughout this tournament.
30 seconds left.
NWJ just still need to win. It's not about who pops off, but more about the team doing so as well. OGX, obviously a fourth round, is going to falter their favor. But NWJ, it's, I guess starting off like this isn't that surprising. This good on the
10
defense.
seconds left.
That's what we saw a while ago on their attacking side, as Lin obviously gets the fourth. But will that necessarily translate into their second half, which we saw a while ago crumble?
Yeah, you're always a little bit worried, right? But so far, so good. 4 rounds in a row, and with Lin performing like this, it's always something that brings joy. That said, OGX just needing to kind of, I don't know, maybe rethink some decisions, because they had B, but then they continued to push all the way through C. Spike, unfortunately, got dropped by Casper at the end there. So far, so good. I mean, at least for NWJ. The timeout now being called by Orangutan X, and yeah, I gotta agree, man. Like, I'm gonna be really honest. I have no idea. I didn't know who Lin was before this. Like, she just joined, and she's into Game Changers APAC Elite, and she's doing so well. We haven't seen her before, like not even last year. She's not really a player on any team that made playoffs or anything, but here she is, and she's making such an impact.
And to be fair, she hasn't necessarily been in any kind of, team to the same standard as what we see here on Elite, or just in the Game Changers top 8, for each open in general. So it just shows you that there's so many diamonds in the rough, untapped talent throughout the scene, and that's what Game Changers, this circuit, is all about. NWJ benefiting off of that cause here early on in the opening rounds, but let's see, defensive push to try and take Rubble away. That's a good bit of map control, seized early.
Okay. It's kind of trading utility, but you're not doing all that much off of it. NWJ are trying to control Rubble for the time being, and they've managed to kind of get a good position held now, but OGX continues to push off of it. It's the Seekers that kind of flush them out, but they managed to shoot them down just as quick. So that A has been denied.
Smoke. That's a greatly timed smoke there in the one-way quack, because that just shuts down any notions of following up on the Seekers, and now they're forced to rotate.
Okay. Minute left. Trailblazer goes in, and Sky Elise is perfectly aware of this. Doesn't quite manage to get the first shot, though. It's going to be Lin instead. Comes in for a bit of support. Oreophilia now through the revolving door. Managed to take another shot through. It's Aruma who falls, and it's OGX who are down to 2 players remaining. And they still need to get the spike planted. Coming back in around, they kind of try to peek together towards Maud. They spotted out Oreophilia, and they want to make quick work of her. But still, with the Shrouded Step, she kind of repositions. They manage to hear it. So the Omen counters go through. And with that, reading the rotations, they are very aware that Yamori's right around the edge of C. From the shadows into A. They have the timing on this. The spike goes down. Yamori in a 1-on-2.
Very smart decision there. Use the ult, get back into A instead. Just unfortunate for NWJ that when the fight was happening there towards Mound, Yamori just wasn't in position just yet. She was still rotating. A bit of a slow rotate for sure, but I guess they're just trying to be safe, not exactly sure if and how things could have turned out. 1v2
enemy
though.
remaining.
Confirm, nobody on the spike itself. Yamori gets the one, but Casper is just way too ahead. This girl staying too friendly, and OGX take their opener.
Yeah, streets ahead, you would say, of the game. Knows exactly when to peek. I mean, she's the one who was positioned up around tree, peeped her head through and saw that, hey, she's not on the spike.
Remaining.
I mean, she might have warned her teammate, but Japip's just not quite prepared for that shot. But towards the end, she had the info. Casper getting the last shot, and right now leading the kill feed. It's 4-1, and OGX managed to come back for the time being. But here we go, full buys again for NWJ off of their 4-round win streak, and Yamori with a showstopper available.
Oh, I'm not sure if the step was heard necessarily. It surely can hear the orb being taken, though. Showstopper obviously available for Yamori this time around for any retake potentially. You can see such a heavy focus on the B stack here from NWJ, but it's not at all what OGX have in mind in terms of contesting. It's going to be the C site. Good find by Yamori. A bit of a risky kind of flush out there, knowing she had the ult to utilize, but here comes that C main push. Rosie, SCYTHE being taken on down.
Very quickly off of the blast pack, and now they continue to push back into defender spawn. Orangutan is ready for the draw though. Paranoia, and she walks in, a double kill right off the bat. And that's gonna be NWJ trying to make the retake happen just as fast as Spike goes down. Showstopper committed as well. Japip's trying to hold the off angle, but Lin makes it a quick trade. NWJ will be able to collect on their 5th win now, a big lead.
Start that shit here, mate.
Well, I mean, with the way that NWJ were able to still rectify things, great work here being done. Especially with the way that, even though they didn't have necessarily, too much control of the surrounding parts of the site, like CT here was taken. Casper just being taken on down there, or you feel like kind of leading that charge, obviously Paranoia in hand, making that contact work. Incredible stuff to have a player pop off at the right opportune moment too. And my bad in calling SCYTHE the wrong name. I was browsing VLR for history and stuff, and so I saw the name and pulled me up. Oreophilia! I talked about it! You have to be definitely terrified of Oreos moving forward.
Definitely terrified of Oreos. Oh, they're gonna dunk him! Oh god, into the milk!
The twist!
The twist! Oh, the lick! And she goes in and she gets that double. It's ridiculous how players have lined up for her now. She did it like in the start with the Bulldog, and then it's happening again. Now, OGX are playing perfectly into NWJ's hands because of these early picks, and they just don't have enough numbers to confidently break into sites. Sway just blindly walking into A, and now Japip's the last one alive, easily spotted out. A couple of sprays from 2 players of NWJ, and it's 6-1 Black and Blue.
Another impressive start for sure. Look at that, they just line up. So much fortune for Oreophilia. That's the second time a kind of lineup has worked out in her favor. A while ago was even more incredible towards that A site on their bonus with the Bulldog. Never forget. OGX assuredly won't. But can't let the misfortune get to their heads. Only creating your own path is the only option here. The ults, they're a bit more swayed in NWJ's favor, I would say, but that's not to say that OGX don't have some of their own.
I've got your trail.
I'm gonna be honest, I'm surprised Coach Gunnar hasn't called a timeout yet for OGX, and this is their map pick. They should be getting more rounds, but right now it hasn't been working out so well. Exactly. A lot of ultimates online for NWJ right now as well, and henceforth they're playing a very defensive position, just banking on the retake instead. So spike planted, both lockdowns going through, pink shells to deny the defending lockdown, and SCYTHE no longer has an advantageous position. Off the plant, it's going to be Sway with the Viper's Pit up as well. well. So, unless NWJ can make use of their Seekers from Crescents or something to try to make a bit more headway into sight, it's going to be tough for them to retake. They might just have to opt for the full-on save. And look at this on the minimap, too. We've got Japan on the biggest flank ever. They might not expect her, but Crescents does. Here come the Seekers. You've got a showstopper coming in from Twirly as well. Oh, it's a triple kill coming in, exploding. It's going to be an E-Smut going off, too, though. And NWJ cannot make the retake happen thanks to Twirly and her explosive show-stopping action.
Spinning things around, Twirly did. What a way to do it! Off of the ult. Obviously, all of them kind of being a bit more low due to the Viper's Pit. Definitely worked out in their favor. What a way to bring it back, because that wasn't looking well for OGX in that post-plant hold. Casper throws out the Paranoia a bit too early there, and towards Heaven not really connecting on much without much of a reason to throw it out just yet. As the smoke dissipates, and off of the Hail Mary. Another miracle given for OGX.
It just happened in the blink of an eye. I don't think she even knew that there were 3 people there. But here she comes, going through the door. She knows where Crescents is. Couldn't quite connect onto the first one, but here comes Saruma just in for the trade. A Trailblazer concuss onto Oreophilia too, and she instantly shrouded steps into safety, so not too bad. Viper's Pit up outside of B as well. OGX trying to regain their footing. They already have numbers advantage. They can hit whichever site they want.
3v4. You mentioned that they still have the choice to go whichever way they want. Making noise here towards that A main, TP into that drop position, and leaving Sky Elise to think the push is coming her way. They fake it on out, and C is very ripe for the taking.
Yeah, it leaves things
left.
very open. 30 seconds. Doesn't matter. Timer's going to reset to 40 by this point. OGX will be able to get a free plant. And if you are NWJ and you are rotating at this time, you have already lost the initiative. It's going to be a tough fight ahead of them. They might just save and go for exit frags as well. So OGX slowly gaining their groove in the game.
See what happens.
Good flash.
Guiding Light just confirms the waterfall being occupied. Obviously, Lin opens on the switch. Gets the one, but can't do it cleanly enough to be able to adjust for Japice. They're going to continue for the retake. Yeah, well, Sky Elise is connecting. A double for her! The Turner takes down Oreophilia in the end, and Naruma obviously follows up on her. OGX scrape by. Maybe in hindsight, not the most effective one, but hey, nice try. Anyways.
I like the spray transfer. But yeah, it was really difficult. Not insanely well coordinated either. But a good attempt nonetheless. I just thought taking a lot of time on that rotation might have worked against them, but still. OGX comes up big with a win. It's 6-3, and we might have a comeback on our hands. Bai's coming through now, and it's going to be Crescents aggressively pushing up to gain info, but B is open. Trailblazer in, Toxic Screen is up as well, and Twirly continues to fight for space. With a Phantom in her hand, she's looking to block them off from this breakable door, but NWJ wants to fight through as well. Yamori tosses the paint shells and pushes her back. Dark cover goes up right around Link. And OGX just continues to try and hold. Toxic Screen's up, Seekers goes through, but Japips makes it a spray. Now NWJ cannot quite make it through. The double controller smokes are coming into very much effect. Still though, right from underneath, NWJ has managed to find a bit of a crack to slip through. Guiding Light manages to pop, but Aruma finds a simple shot regardless. Lin tries to stick the defuse, but only manages to get it half without much cover. It's easy for Sway to find her shot. It's 4-6 now, and indeed the comeback from OGX.
Hey, Orangutan starting to get into something here, starting to feel themselves, and finally gain some rounds in retaliation. 3 for them now. consecutively. Luckily for Scythe, still able to continue up another bye. Maybe not the most favorable one for SCYTHE, a Guardian in hand, but for sure she can make good work with that. See Scythe looking to be occupied here by OGX. Most by OGX so far has been winning them these rounds. Sway takes the opener on Yamori as well, which is a big pick. Paint Shells immediately removed from being a threat this round.
I've got your trail.
That means NWJ has less to work with. OGX continues to try to commit into C. But you know, so much noise and so much presence being made around Mound, it just buys the rotations over. We've got Seekers going out as well, though. That might just have been a bit of a tell.
Cover going out.
Now NWJ is very much aware that the hit's headed towards B instead, so 2-3 players positioned around this, and they are just waiting for their opportune moment. Twirly, though, manages to sneak up into upper, spots out a player, Crescents find the shots instead, Pips makes it a trade, and NWJ just as quick, they are still in the game. Spike is down, though, and OGX, like you mentioned, Black and Blue, are holding these post-plant positions incredibly well.
Yeah.
NWJ through low, and they are dropped dead. Headshots for days. OGX 5-6.
Clean stuff in the end there for OGX. Nice kind of contact made towards that C. Fake out, rotate into the door, into B. As written, as promised, and delivered. Unfortunately, so here for NWJ, they haven't been able to make their first contact work on out in their favor, as we saw there, like Yamori going down early. And she's been struggling so far against this OGX team, both on both ends of the floor, attack or defend, who have been so far a bit more, I guess, aware of her internal timing. You can see OGX just continuously able to sniff out any shenanigans or positions she might be, being that first contact, being that duelist on the raise. And it's been giving NWJ a lot more, you know, worries and troubles than you really would want as the underdog.
Yeah, and it's always difficult, hence the timeout. And this is their first timeout of the series, too. NWJ is trying to fight back. Despite such a great start, now they've kind of lost it again. And economy isn't looking too great either, especially with the fact that this is the last round of the first half where it matters a lot. We might just see a 6-6 scoreline. They've got some judges, some bulldogs. Let's see what they can make do with it, especially with the fact that they're on defense. I expect it to work a little bit better, but OGX has just been doing such a great job at working off of information that they get. Sway even has an operator now in this round.
Sway in the morning. No. You know,
I don't get the reference. I'm sorry.
Okay, we move on. Sway, as you mentioned, on that op. On the lurk as well. This is going to be important if we do get a plant, because she's going to be able to kind of lock down not only the flank, but more importantly from Rubble. Going to make the cross from the stairs a lot more difficult on the retake for NWJ, but that's if they get the plant off in the first place towards that A position. Otherwise, it will be a bit less effective, I think, on post plant for the other sides. The other sites can still be usable for sure. It's again seemingly looking like a C or B hit.
Yeah, right now, A was blocked off thanks to Lynn's toxic screen.
30 seconds left.
Well timed, well placed, and kind of funnels them right into her judge. Oh, they've been spotted though, and she tries to play around her poison cloud, but instead has to work around it. She's been sussed out. A bit of a shot to step through from Casper, and Lynn still manages to make quick work. 2 kills already under her belt. SCYTHE comes in to receive them quickly, and it's going to be the attacking lockdown that applies pressure onto NWJ. Oreophilia turns her swivel on her head, double kills through, and yet still, with such a round, despite having not the best economy, they turn things around. NWJ ends the first half in a 7-5.
Great stuff here coming from NWJ at the end, finally rectifying their mistakes, but who can make no mistake? It's Mika and Coldan from the panel.
One of the many reasons why I look forward to these tosses, these little interactions with our lovely casters, Quack and Black and Blue. But Koldan, I'm feeling a little uneasy about this. You know, you had NWJ with the early momentum here, which was like, you know, very great. I thought it was going to be the start of that OGX comeback once again, but the last two rounds there were quite messy to say the least, and it really was kind of like, you know, everybody passing the ball around and seeing who would catch it.
Yeah, listen, it was 6-1, and NWJ, right? They looked like they were in control of the game, and then that one round where there were
The
5
showstopper.
ultimates on the A side,
Yeah.
the showstopper
Yeah.
came in, and right after that, there were actually 2 rounds in a row where Casper was in a great position. Called back to the one where she was just lurking outside C, right? And then they forced the rotations from SCYTHE and NWJ to, you know, essentially run around the map like headless chickens, trying to find out where they're gonna commit. And that is the mid-round calling that we know and love from OGX. That is how they won out Ascent. That last round, they made that weird rotation. Again, this map, they used the rotations. They bait out all the utility from SCYTHE, and that's how they've, you know, kind of clawed back a couple of rounds. If they continue up this kind of pace, this kind of momentum, I think they are in a great position to mount that sort of comeback.
It seems like the SCYTHE are very, very determined to put a stopper to that, though, especially with the performance on the last 2 rounds. Can this carry over as the side switch around? We're gonna find out as we step back into the map with Quack and Black and Blue.
Sometimes it's.
Oh, they didn't hear what I was saying. I was saying, why do you guys look like you're in the same room? You have the same lighting, the same camera, the same white background. Let me continue on cracking the second half and follow.
You know, yeah, the map design is just very good, even in real life. So, we're gonna have NWJ on the attack now, and they're trying to push in, but the turret instantly spots them out. So, Casper blocks them off with a dark cover, and now they have to look for another option.
Yeah, stalled here. NWJ looking for the option to suddenly pivot into the C site. Oh, Sway. She went a bit wider, could have maybe found some contact there in Crescent. Spots out. Just a bit more presence here from NWJ, who are really toying with the door.
Okay. Trailblazer denied too. Good way to gather more info. I'm not sure about the guiding light. Maybe they're trying to sell a bit of a fake cut noise and head back towards B. NWJ wants to get the spike down. But OGX's positioning suggests that they are getting a pretty good read on this. Poorly, in fact, is just hovering around A just in case as well. So everyone's playing it safe right
30
now.
seconds left.
Oh, but they're going back towards C. It looks like it's going to be a C commit here. Alarm bot turret. Utility set up to try and stop them in their tracks, but Lin opens up with a pick, and Yamori's going to follow up as well. Three opening picks here for NWJ, who just shut down the defense of OGX. You're going to have to play a retake. The lurk as well coming from Lin. Absolutely huge.
10 seconds
She gets
left.
shut down, yes, but
Spike
it's a
planted.
2v3 on the site.
Paint shells,
One enemy
unfortunately,
remaining.
doesn't quite displace anyone, and they continue to push through Waterfall. OGX instantly dealt with by NWJ. I mean, this round is incredible thanks to Lin and her positioning. The timing on that peek through B.
Look at that. Just finding its mark. Oreophilia being taken on down, who didn't expect much. Rather, Casper being taken on down, who didn't expect that lure coming from Lin. And NWJ using that momentum at the end of the first half to bring it into the second take. A crucial pistol here on the attacking side. And this could be where they start to, you know, pull away with things. Maybe we could be looking at a map 3, but let's not call it before it's done a bit too early. Don't want to jinx it. NWJ have got a good fight still up ahead.
Always want to look out for NWJ and how they can somehow make use of these magical moments. Now that they've gotten the pistol, I mean, you're absolutely right, Black and Blue, because it's going to give them a lot more momentum. Not unless OGX can somehow turn this round around on with their pistols. They don't quite have the information. Somehow getting a read on this because they've seen that C and B are clear. The dark cover comes out to block off stairs. And that means that NWJ can only push through tree now unless they go in for an execute. The split hit works regardless, and without the range, it's easy for Yamori to spray them down. Spectre, 2-3 kills coming through now. Another one from the Bulldog of SCYTHE, and with a double kill, she ends the round in flawless fashion. NWJ certainly have the momentum in the second half.
Early on, at least. But another bonus would definitely benefit their cause, as what we saw from the first half. NWJ clean so far there, kind of being aware that taking those multiple fights against multiple targets, still not the position to be in, even though they have firepower advantage, as target rich as it might be. And NWJ, let's see how they convert their bonus. They do have this comp, obviously it's a mirror, which should be more beneficial for the fake outs here in the attack. Trying to condition early on. Let's see how much they actually utilize that, because the pusher coming on in. Rubble trying to be fought over by both sides, but OGX looking to rescind it now as they realize how much presence there actually is from NWJ's attack.
That's not too bad either, though. They've kind of traded bits of utility. Yes, Yamori threw out her paint shells. I mean, Torley threw out her paint shells. But Oreophilia spent her paranoia as well. And that means you have less of an initiating tool, or less of a catalyst as you push into sites. So it comes down to Crescents and her guiding lights now. And unless NWJ can make it a sudden reaction, it's gonna be tough. OGX is already getting a good read on this, and look at Torley's positioning, hiding inside of this dark cover along with her teammate. They are ready to receive anyone who might walk through. What they don't know, though, is that NWJ has kind of sneaked past the broken doors. Japips peeks out, gets a shot onto Yamori, and that's not too bad. But the sight hit goes towards B regardless. Walking through the nanoswarm, Crescents doesn't care, but only for a second. It's a good bit of damage, but it's not quite enough. NWJ continuing to do a bit more in towards Link. They managed to deal out with 3 players from OGX. It's back to a 2-on-2. Blast Pack trying to keep them at bay. Japip sticking the defuse all the way through. We've managed to get off of it for the time being, and with the Phantoms and the Vandals, OGX fights back. No bonus win for NWJ this time.
They made it close, though. There was a moment there, certainly, where things could have gone their way. Clearly, Japeeps as well, making sure that Yamori doesn't stay alive too long off the flank, really helped secure things, at least to try and be a bit more winnable there. And OGX able to play the retake amicably. Obviously, on the attacking side, you can see like players like SCYTHE just trying to throw caution to the wayside. And almost gained them a kill. Didn't convert just yet, but that was their bonus. Let's see how their actual gun round continues on. You can see the lurk here once more by Lin towards Rubble, but with OGX taking that kind of piece of control way early. At map control, it squeezes now the options of NWJ to have to divert towards B or C, which the defense is a lot more, it seems like, ready to receive.
Yeah, you got so much Killjoy utility towards C. You've got the alarm bot. You also have Sway just on top of B upper. Snakebite could really stall for a really good period of time. Well, Poison Cloud available as well. So for NWJ, they kind of just have to go in for that Hail Mary push. Lin will not be able to find any joy towards A. So C is the only option. Here comes Casper. Still right around the dark cover. Trying to weave and duck through those blind shots. NWJ thinking about continuing to push through. They've spotted out the barrel of Aruba. Just kind
She's
of
dead.
pinging in position, but she's still okay. And here comes Casper at the right time, just as soon as they turn their heads. Here comes OGX on the retake now. SCYTHE trying to hold it down. She managed to get a couple more, but Oreophilia just continues through instead. Casper managing to do a lot more damage. Oreophilia's the only one left. What a weave! What a fadeaway! It turns back at the right time. The final shot, a clutch coming in for NWJ.
Big time players making big time plays. And that's Oreophilia connecting once more. How many times has she delivered in this game? Over and over.
Enemy remaining.
Another clutch goes her way. Another triple to her name. And absolutely no doubt in her game so far. NWJ 10-6. Eco now for OGX, looking to bring it to the 11th. Even to match point.
Really finding her form right now. 22 kills. We thought Lin was good, but Oreophilia on this map somehow is just giving us such a performance. And again, this is Orangutan X's map pick. Somehow, so with this star factor, everything is turning around. OGX does not have to buy this round, and it's going to be very likely a round for NWJ unless a thrifty happens. Wow. Looking at the minimap, though, positioning not too shabby for OGX. They're trying to make use of some of these close angles.
Well, we've seen OGX come back and kind of rectify a deficit, especially in map number 1, so who knows how this map number 2 might still turn on now, trying to get aggressive there. Aruma just could not find the timing. Lin obviously shuts her down, but the push, it's on the way. No reason to stop for now. Paranoia keeps the waterfall retake at bay. Obviously the smoke confirms that space taken. It's going to be difficult for OGX to try and go for the attempt, but not much really to write home about. Sway a double for her. That's all she wrote. That's NWJ, a single round away from match point.
Not too bad. I mean, yeah, a little bit unfortunate for Aruma. And for NWJ, it's just, again, that quick contact play. We get a kill, we just rush into sight, and they managed to clear it. What's interesting is how OGX went in for the retake. As soon as the alarm bot dropped down, everyone was on the same page and they went in for it. But unfortunate for Sway at the end, it's her partial and she couldn't quite find the shot. So, I was a little bit worried. If NWJ lost that round, then yes, maybe OGX stands a chance. But with that win, OGX now needs to find a way to chain 5 or maybe more rounds in a row just to tie us up. And that's why it's going to be that final timeout coming in from their coach.
They've done it before. Can they again once more? OGX, Orangutan. They shall not escape just yet from the lower bracket. As NWJ looking to extend this into that third. The attacking side here of NWJ have been pretty intuitive in picking the right call to make in that mid-round. You see OGX trying to squeeze the map away early on. But NWJ are kind of... they're readily happy to give up that space early to kind of find out where the majority of OGX defense is, and then that's when they adjust to the opposite side of the map.
Very good adjustments. And sometimes, you know, this mid-round calling comes in from Oreophilia, who is just giving us such an incredible performance right now. They kind of hold up towards pillars, giving up A control. The turret, I assume, is watching that push that could potentially come from Orangutan X. So that signals to us that it's a very clear sign for NWJ to want to hit B, but they've been blocked off by Casper once again.
The showstopper. Presence being taken on down here. Twirly going for an aggressive peek. Finally, the squeeze of map control here from OGX. Gaining some actual tangible benefit. Takes 2 picks off, and that could have just been the round there off of that play.
Potentially. And like I was saying, I thought that turret would catch them, but no, it didn't. Not enough range, I suppose, and Twirly somehow managed to walk away with daylight robbery. 3 players left from NWJ, and they continue to try to break through. Bulldoze onto site. Sway still alive. Snakebites on their feet. They can't quite push through, but Lin making use of just a tiniest crack, tiniest space. She takes down Sway. And here it comes, Aruma trying to block them off. Gets a shot away, but then instantly traded by Lin. And with those kills, the Viper's Pit comes online. Showstopper from Twirly, though, and she does not want to give them match point. Lin trying to stay tucked away. She uses that space, now pushes in at the right time. Spots in another player, and it's going to be online for the ace. Looking for Casper now, who is so darn low. The spike slowly taken away. 10 rounds available in her magazine. She doesn't care. Drops the Viper's Pit at the right time. The dark cover, though, both controllers trying to sneak back and forth, in and through. And Casper just finds the right timing. I have seeked you, I have found you, and I have earned my team yet another round win. It is 11-7.
That was so close for Lynn. It could have been it. Tried to find timing. Obviously, the safer play there was as soon as she spots out, nobody's on the spike, just waits for the next tap, but I guess was trying to catch him off guard, trying to catch Casper off guard, but she's the one who falls into her own demise. 7-11, how convenient for OGX to keep it away from match point. When the going gets tough, they get even rougher, and then Eco's state now here for NWJ.
And with this, OGX might be able to turn things around. Still a tough retake nonetheless, but very well played by Casper. Back into it though. They want to fight this A-Rumble again. Pink shells through. Oreophilia survives with the Bulldogs and the Spectres. It's a 1-for-2 trade that favors NWJ.
Oh, nice shot by SCYTHE. How are they making this happen? Isn't it so comical? Hysterical even. That in moments like these, it's the eco rounds that somehow get them across the line, that somehow secure match point. Don't want to speak before it's all done, but a 4v2 advantage is certainly one to be wary of, even against an eco. They got some rifles to work with. It's more than enough to shut OGX down.
Very worrying though. Look at her, SCYTHE's position. As soon as she hears a bit of noise, there she is. That's going to be the peak. And Sway knows this, so makes it a trade, but now has to apply the quick pressure. Walks up front, heads up duel against Oreophilia. With that, she's been really wounded. Oh, and it's going to be the snake by Black and Blue. And here we are, match point for NWJ.
Wow, what a contact play from NWJ. We saw that on Ascent a while ago too, that's where the best at, really. Making use of that early contact, they fight for it here. I'm not too sure what or why necessarily OGX would want to go for an aggressive push like that against an eco, knowingly so. You just leave yourself up to more risk, and sometimes those risks don't return the reward that you were initially invested into. Look what OGX are put in a position to be in. 7-12, they got some ultimates to work with, but the economy heavily favoring NWJ, trying to take away that control from Rubble once more, and Sway capitalizes off of it. Twirly low HP though.
Over here.
Yeah, gonna need to be topped off by Chapips and her regrowth, but keep in mind, they only have Spectres in this time. And despite getting concussed, NWJ still has a pretty good advantage, especially in terms of their arsenal. Now slowly transitioning towards the C site. You've got the toxic screen. You've got a bit of Killjoy utility coming in from Aruma as well, though. So let's see if OGX can actually receive and defend this site well enough.
It's gonna have to be a stellar hold, or at least a retake here that works out in their favor. Quack. Lockdown place to try and burn time, just to apply more pressure here. Would have been better if it came later in the clock, but obviously still gets this desired effect for the most part of burning out time. And NWJ looking to commit, and the smoke just confirms that space is a pivot here to be.
Oh, that is dangerous. The Seekers just keeps some of the OGX players on C for the time being, which means it's all up to Twirly. And unfortunately, she can't quite find the shots. Guiding like into her face too, and she has to dodge it, but can't quite make it happen. Crescent goes in and capitalizes on the moment for a double kill. And
Great
with
flash.
this, we're into a 3-on-3. NWJ might just be able to push us into a third map because of this. Off angle being held. Oreophilia swaps positions. And now it's going to be OGX trying to push on through. Again, not the best weaponry, but they continue to trudge forward. Oreophilia just receives them in kind. Chapips finds a shot onto Crescent. It's going to be the Seekers. A good headshot, but still not quite enough. 11 HP and just goes in at the last moment. Another duel. A perfect shot. And the defuse that sticks them onto 12 and 8. OGX still in the game.
Japeeps, the superstar that she is, delivering when it matters the most. 11 HP and still making it happen. OGX simply will not falter just yet. Twirly, miraculous shot. I mean, it was a great flash by Crescents here, but an Oreophilia did so much work there, getting away with murder. And yet still, Japeeps off of the Seekers, confirming that both were here towards that top B. What a shot to connect to. Timeout by Scythe. And Orangutan. No more monkey games being played.
Yeah, not at all. They know they need to close this out now because they're starting to lose their grip. Hence the timeout. But again, they don't really have a coach. And a timeout like this also gives your opponents a bit of a chance to talk to each other. I mean, this round was won just like pure heroics from Japeeps. So it's going to be tough. And there might just be like a sudden execute that OGX might not be able to react to. So to me, this timeout, it really comes down to how well OGX can get a read off of this, how well OGX can prepare themselves for what's to come.
OGX still have a, maybe not the tallest order to climb, but certainly one that you wouldn't mind spill with your friends. Lots to be out here. OGX, maybe a performance like that, a round like that, is what they can rally behind. When you have a player perform such a hype moment there in Japeeps, the rest of the team can follow suit. And NWJ this time, though, benefiting off of OGX, not necessarily squeezing and taking that rubble away early.
Yeah, they want to go for pillars instead. But very well timed dark cover by Casper. And just delays the hit onto A for a little second more. Guiding Light will be able to give a bit of a signal to OGX that NWJ wants to hit A. And that's why you see Sway reposition towards Tree.
Here.
Oh, another smoke here just gonna burn some time. A bit of info starve, obviously, in the opposing side as well. Snakebite to keep him at bay from entering through that door. Forces them to pivot here in the B.
Oh.
Nobody really to receive them, so it should be a retake coming from OGX. Difficult one, may I add.
Alright. Here it comes, though. Oreophilia repositioning with her from the shadows, so that's a bit of a something that causes paranoia to OGX. They're going for the tap. Twirly just positioning around. She's got the Phantom, so at close range, she might be able to spray them all down. They walk straight into her. That's the first one. There's a second. Pink Shell's tossed in, and it's Casper who walks through. Oh, Lid's trying to deny them with a spike. I mean, the snake bite. But here it comes. 1 on 2. And unfortunately, it cannot quite happen for Sway. Her back was exposed, and NWJ shuts down this map 13-8.
Oh, they played that so well at the end there in the post-plant from the link. Even though they're kind of smoked on and off, they used every piece of utility to keep them from taking that, from sticking the defuse. They not only threw the paint shells, but the snake bites, the blast backs, everything they could, and they made things on happen, Quack. And one way to do it as well, here off of a map that was OGX's, one of their best performing statistical maps, and they bring it to map number 3 on Haven. One cannot question the reason why we say NWJ is a dark horse in this tournament.
Yeah, it's always the best thing. So surprising. You expect to see OGX doing a lot better. They might have had a bit of a comeback, but then it got completely shut down. And just a performance from Oreophilia and Lin. And you know what? A better performance coming in from our panelists, Mika and Koldan. Tell us, how did NWJ make this happen?
I was thinking the exact same thing, because as I was watching the match, I thought that, you know, those little sparks of momentum that OGX would have, right? Especially off of amazing, like, you know, ultimate plays or, you know, utility plays. I thought it was it. I thought it was OGX gaining momentum, and it would go kind of like similar to how the first map went. But Golden, it seems like NWJ, they were really pushing back as much as they could, and you know, you could really see these players suddenly come online, you know, suddenly transform into something else entirely, because they really do want to continue their run on here in the lower bracket.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, like what the caster said, like what Quacks as well as Black and Blue mentioned, right? It was the Linsanity show. I
Oh my
mean,
gosh.
so much credit to Linsanity, but not only here this time, right? Not just her at the top of the scoreboard. You got Oreophilia giving OGX Oreophobia. I mean, what an impressive display. 29 and 10 as the Omen player. Not so often you see Omens topping the scoreboard, having this kind of an insane performance, but she really dictated the pace of the match. I mean, every single time that she was in a position, she found a nice, angled hold, or even, maneuvering around the seaside when I just getting recalled back to that clutch, right? She had 1 versus 2 at the back of the seaside, but again, individual brilliance coming in from the top 3 players of NWJ, and it's really insane to see how the team, it's not just a one-man show, right? It's not just one player popping off. It's every single player, playing off each other's utility, out of each other's contacts, and finding that kind of value, pulling off such ridiculous rounds.
Fear of Oreo seems to tie into the special day today, the Friday the 13th, right? It's so crazy because it was as if NWJ knew these tiny little windows of opportunity that they would have. They really capitalized on that. They were and not even I actually saw it as more of from an individual player perspective, right? If Lin saw okay, I have this small window to be able to actually get a double or a triple, then I'll take it. If for example, Crescents maybe sees I have this window to be able to push them back, I'm gonna go do it. So this kind of intuition that they're getting in this this map, this kind of especially since I feel OGX, I couldn't feel that same kind of push, or I couldn't feel that same kind of drive for them. I almost wonder if maybe they were feeling a little too comfortable. Maybe could they possibly have counted NWJ's size out a little too early? Maybe, but now we have no choice. We are going into Haven, our map number 3 for this Colden. So it looks like this is really NWJ saying, do not count us out just yet. We still have a lot of fight in us. Never mind what happened yesterday. We were coming in very fresh, and we still have a lot of tricks up our sleeve. We're gonna find out just how much more, and also on the side of OGX. Once we come back from this very quick break, we're going into map number 3, Haven, in just a bit.
One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining.
Got the money in the bank. Hit you with the bank. Hit you with the 808. Hit you with the 808. Bang to the break, bang to the break, bang to the break, bang, bang, bang.
our first match of the day, and it goes into a map number 3. I mean, what were we expecting with our luck for today here, Colden? Because right now it is an elimination match, and neither of these teams want to go home. They are definitely fighting for their spot here at Elite. They're saying that we're gonna go out in the best way possible and bring out, no holding out back punches. We're gonna give it everything we have right now, and that's exactly how I feel about both of these teams. I'm really confused with what happened with the previous map though, because I was very confident that this was gonna go the way of OGX, especially since it was their map pick as well. But we saw that they were struggling quite a bit with NWJ.
Yeah, I think a lot of the rounds, to be honest, came down to really close clutches. I can, recall 3 off the top of my head. We had Oreophilia's clutch on the C side, Casper's clutch on the C side as well, Japip's one on the B side. So a lot of individual brilliance being shown on Lotus. I think both teams were really effective in pulling rotations while they were on the attacking side, right? We saw many instances where Scythe was able to find themselves a free B side or a free C side, depending on where they kind of pulled the rotations of OG. And when they found themselves in those post-plant situations, it can get really chaotic. So the utilities had to be perfectly in sync, as well as the coordination from every single team member. If not, one of the players on Scythe was just gonna pop off and just get an insane multi-frag. So that kind of just went in the way for Scythe, especially considering they won both pistols. So that's essentially like 4 rounds already just given to them. So yeah, it was rough for OG, but going into Haven, I think now this is kind of like their playground. This is the map that they're very familiar on. This is the map that they like to pick into. And I'm very interested to see how they're going to be approaching this, because we have seen them recently, the day that we started, the first day, right, when we were on panel as well, they brought in the Neon as well as the Chamber. We witnessed it ourselves firsthand of how proficient they can be on Haven. So I think this final map is going to be a banger between these two teams, and honestly, I do believe it could go either way.
Yeah, exactly. Especially after what we saw on Lotus, right? And we're heading into another 3-site map as we speak. And I feel like, there were so many times wherein we thought that OGX was going to be able to close out the round. We thought that they were in very favorable positions, but there was just something on the side of NWJ that I feel like, they were just we wake up really hungry today or something, to be able to stay in this tournament. Right now, though, again, third map, endurance-wise, again, it's a massive test for both of these teams. And at the top of the series, I would have said, OGX endurance-wise is probably gonna, pull through this. It's exactly what I said, actually, at the very beginning. I said, if this is an endurance test, then this is probably OGX. Now, after Lotus, I'm actually not too sure, just because there's a fire in NWJ right now, and I feel like they're really not letting their shot get away from them here, Colden.
I think NWJ coming into today, I think they have just a fire underneath them. From yesterday's game until today, we saw that they never gave up. Every single round they gave it their all, and it's not a one-man show. Every single player from Scythe stepping up to the plate. It's honestly rare to see so many players of a single team pop off, at the same time during a single map. They like to play those rounds extremely tight to the final seconds, and it really gives their team a chance to show off what they have prepared. And individually they might not be as mechanically talented as maybe SMG together, where they have just overwhelming firepower. But I think this is what really draws me to the Scythe squad. I love the way they play. I love the synergies that they have within the team. Individually, they can hold their own to honestly any player or any team in this entire tournament. And when it comes down to the nitty-gritty, I think it really comes down to themselves, right? Whether they overextend, whether they make small mistakes, I think they have the recipe for success. They just need to connect the dots just a little bit, and they have that unknown factor, that Lin sanity power that comes in this tournament that nobody is expecting. Together with Oreophilia, together with the rest of the team, I think they definitely do stand a chance, and I think Haven is a great battlefield for them. It's a comfortable map for them. The agents that they have picked so far, I don't see anything off meta, so I think they're just going to be playing their game, and honestly, that's more than I could ask for.
And as you speak, we are going into Agent Select right here. I'm curious to see if we're gonna see the Neon, right? I am going to. Looks like we are indeed going with that OGX comp that they had against CMSMG not too long ago, right? With the Chamber and the Neon as well. And it looks like Scythe are sticking to their guns and what is comfortable for them.
Did I mention something? Okay, so I hate to put it under a microscope, but I feel like Aruma's chamber is a little bit lacking. You know, it leaves me a little bit wanting. Sometimes she is set up as that chamber player, the one that's gonna get those opening frags with the headhunter, with the op. I'm not even sure if I remember a headhunter kill in this series, or at least when I've been watching Aruma. Like it's honestly a little bit rare to be seeing those kills, and honestly, I think that this map relies a lot on her. She needs to secure those impact kills to allow her team to win, because as chamber, you don't have util to back up. You have your aim and you have one little trip. So I don't really want to put it too much under a microscope. It's not entirely going to be on her, but I think a lot of the win condition lies on the back of her success as that anchor player.
I do think that we saw a lot more success from her chamber on Haven rather than on Ascent, but we're gonna have to see indeed how this pick does pull through, especially with all of the other unconventional picks here on Haven that might potentially throw NWJ off of the rhythm. We're gonna see indeed if they can do that. So OGX and NWJ, the final map. So Black and Blue and Quack, over to you guys.
Thank you very much, Mika and Kolden. And yeah, Kolden's got a point, and still this is a really, really tough matchup. Both teams might be comfortable on the map, and we've got some interesting agent compositions, but that said, again, high stakes. You lose this, you are out of Game Changers APAC Elite. So, hey, I'm Quack, this is Black and Blue. What have you got for us, man?
I mean, what did they got for us, right? With that map number 1 and 2 being so climactic, especially at the end of map number 2. You have to wonder what does Scythe bring to the table now that they are arguably in such a great position to overtake this series, right? You look at statistically Lotus for them, and it's been one of their biggest struggles, and yet they're able to best a team like Orangutan on it, and now they move on to Haven, a map that they're just a bit more comfortable in. It puts OGX in a very precarious spot. They're pulling out that Neon, which we did see to some extent in the past, but now here for OGX to pull it out on Twirly, and for Aruma to be on this chamber, this whole kind of setup, it's very precarious. Many ways it could go wrong, but if it goes right, then it's going to be spectacular to watch.
All right, you start things with the tech paw.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, do you remember like a couple of days ago when it was SMG versus Orangutan X, and we saw this Twirly Neon on Haven, but the one thing was that although she was pretty good, 19 kills, 16 deaths, she had a lot of first kills, 4 first kills and 3 first deaths, but her team was often kind of not really following up that well. And that's one of the things that made it a little bit more difficult for Orangutan X to find success against a team like SMG. They ended off the first half with a 3-9, and then they got, subsequent 3 more rounds. And I think that happened a little bit because of, I'd like to think it's because of Aruma's anchoring as the chamber. But that said, it's the attacking side is always kind of struggling a little bit, and Sway didn't have the best game that time as well. So hopefully some of those have been fixed coming into this game. I mean, you left Haven open, so you've got to make it count.
I mean, we did see some benefits of it on the attacking side, right? Like with the amount of util they've got to kind of execute with. Obviously the relay bolts, and then the gravity well, Nova pulses, the stuns all coming together. It just becomes so I guess intimidating to try and anchor the sight down against them when you're on the defense. But on the flip side, they did kind of lack a bit more stopping power utility. Passive information gathering for sure gathered from the tripwire, rather from the trademark, but you kind of see where, especially against a team like SMG, I guess the weaknesses of this comp, that's where it really came into effect. And if NWJ were able to take anything from that game and apply that here, it just could be what gives them that small edge. And taking them down.
Yeah, and that's actually another thing to bring up as well, because the composition that NWJ are running right now is very similar to the one that SMG has, bar the controller, that is. You know, Ophelia tends to go for the Omen, but on SMG we had Shirazi as the Casper, and she was popping out that game as well. So some slight differences, but there is a chance. That's the main thing. There is a chance for Scythe NWJ to upset this entire series completely. And for the first time in like, what? The past 5 times that these two teams have faced off against each other, Scythe and NWJ might actually walk away with the win, and along with it, eliminate Orangutan X from Game Changers APAC Elite. So a lot of things at stake, a lot of things to think about, and it's very crazy, especially with the fact that this is Lin's debut Game Changers APAC Elite. And we've seen such crazy performances. Hopefully, we can see more of it in this very final map between these two teams. Another thing, though, just interesting to bring up again, was Scythe NWJ playing this map against Global Esports Phoenix yesterday. And I say that it's interesting because NWJ actually had a really good start. They had like 4 rounds won in a row off of their pistol. And then after that, there were some, tech pauses and whatnot. And suddenly they just lost all their steam. After that tech pause, Global Esports Phoenix just came back in full force and they couldn't recover, especially once they swapped over onto the second half. So, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen for NWJ today, but hopefully not the same thing that happened yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday, well, their attacking side definitely kind of was slipping, and that's not something you want to see necessarily in a map like Haven. But what is slipping is, I guess, us, because we're in a tech pause, and so
Caster, start the game.
Caster has to start the game. No, but in all seriousness,
Can you do it, Black and Blue?
Am I pressed the button? Nah, maybe. I'm gonna let you guys sit with us for a sec. It's your problem. Deal with it. No, I'm kidding. I'm nice. We wait. And while we wait, we ponder at the fact that nobody expected Scythe to be a team like this. They were always arguably maybe a step ahead from the teams that qualified through LCQ, but that wasn't a big jump at all. And the fact that they're putting up this much of a fight, and sometimes in very convincing fashion, like in map number 2 there, versus a team like OGX, it turns heads. And now NWJ, as we finally are going to get onto the map very soon, they have a chance to really pull this upset off, and what a way to do it. OGX, maybe not the most consistent here today, but if they can make it happen when it matters the most, then they can still continue on further to the promised land.
And they're doing it without a coach, too. That's always something that's very, very impressive. Like you mentioned, right? You called them diamonds in the rough, and they always have a chance at shining a little bit brighter. OGX now on the defense. Aruma already peeking out to investigate with her headhunter. Yomori turns away at the last second, eats a bullet to the head, and then Crescents makes it a trade. So Spike is going to be retrieved, and we are going to rotate.
A good counteracting shutdown there. Obviously, they gain the advantage here. Sky Elise picks off Twirly as well, trying to go for an aggressive peek. Casper equalizes the player countdown. She's here towards the clutch. Park herself like a car, like a truck. She connects on the one, but Sky Elise can connect up close. Gonna fall back, connects on the third for Casper. Pulls out her knife. Ophelia takes her down ultimately enough, but it's a 1v2 still.
Now she's just kind of wary that there might be people watching for her. The one angle that she does not expect is the one from right behind her. So Spike down. They get the plant. Good little eco bonus, but it's still OGX that walks away with the win. And with those kills from Casper, wow.
Yeah, just peeking out from the garage doors. Connect on the first, fall back, connect on the second. Somehow scrapes by with a third as well in the Sky Elise. Casper didn't come here to play no games, have no fun, unless it's with a gun. Triple for her to open up the round and get OGX on the right path.
That's just a good way to start. Now Casper is 3 points away from her Cosmic Divide. Yeah.
Great stuff from Casper, but the rest of the team has to follow suit as well. You can see here kind of a TP play out back in A-Link for Aruma, just trying to make sure she can be the first point of contact on the site, at least on towards sewer. Let's see, I mean, they are coming her way, so there's an opportunity here to maybe find some.
Trying to find some. Alright. Rendezvous away. So we're just kind of falling back. Again, it's that same info game. I mean, these two teams have been doing this ever since the first map pick on Ascent. Just trying to make every single round count. The Owl Drone, though, I would say, was expended a little bit early on as well, just to clear out mid. With that, I mean, now NWJ is just completely cutting noise. It comes down to Casper and how quickly she could react to the current movement that we're seeing on the minimap. All right, she spots him.
He comes out to push. Obviously an eco here for NWJ. To make sure they clear Twirly off the corner, but the backup from Casper is way more potent. 2v3 stands, of course, and OGX actually didn't bring too much invested into this round. They really buy up as heavily as you might expect. Uma just deletes Lin, and so does Sky Elise, following her path. Same fate shared. OGX 2-0 start for sure. It's how NWJ respond now on their attacking side, which we saw be a problem against Global yesterday. They start to rectify that here.
Definitely need to make it happen. But I guess the one thing that we can account for currently is the fact that that was a pretty good eco. They've managed to hurt Orangutan X's economy just by a bit, so it's light shields here for Japips and Torley, although they have Spectres. The rest of them maybe on just some pistols. Interestingly enough, though, okay, we're going offensive on the defense. Torley pushing all the way out through a window, trying to pull off a bit of a flank. She's got the Spectre trying to look for some hits, but can't quite spray them down. Sky Elise answers back in kind just as quick, and the spike will go down on A.
Quick and early shutdown here. Of any notions of taking the round away, of taking this anti-bonus, rather this bonus away, WJ almost assuredly secure the round. Encourages. Lets him know, hey, where exactly they're coming from. Can hear both of them right now. By all means. Skyly's crawling up behind him with timing too.
One enemy remaining.
Hello.
No way to get out of this one. Oh, okay. Nice response by Sway. By Sway, rather. She picked up the Vandal to have something better to fight over. The round is done, and NWJ successfully winning that A main contact was huge. OGX placed their eggs into a basket, and once it was dropped, well, there goes half the cart.
And a lot of broken eggs. But with broken eggs, you can make some omelets, so even with that, I have no clue. But 2-1, right? And you can come up with a full buy this time around. Sway, you know, it's a good little frag. It's an alt point, and she gets the buy up for a teammate potentially. I guess not currently.
I ordered poached eggs for breakfast. And scrambled eggs is what came. I'm so disappointed.
Poor black and blue.
I wanted my eggs Benedict. But we continue on. No safety.
Right. So NWJ, I mean, yeah, they've been doing pretty well, and then it's just continuing to pick things up. Aruma with the operator, alt orb picked up, I think, by Casper. So that's a Cosmic Divide available now. And look at the aggressive angle that Aruma's holding towards C-Long.
Is a safe retreat as well, as long as they have garage control, which is the one worry point for me here. If they take garage away, Aruma rendezvousing back won't be as safe as they assume. Now there's still gonna be a Radiant box there, but there's the one, or you'll feel it taking on down and nobody there to get the punish. So looks like NWJ want to come in towards B. Scan won't be shot out in time.
Early.
And It is quite early.
With concealment.
Still low.
This will be quick.
Cosmic Divide is available. Fault line comes through. Japips has to back off. She's got some shock darts that she could use, but too close, and she did not expect them to peek out that way. And with that, 2 players are gone from OGX. NWJ is able to stick down the spike plant, and Twirly tries to fight back. Has to dodge some flashes. Aruma comes in from the opposite angle. And then here comes Casper from mid. NWJ backed into a corner. Can't quite fight back, and it's going to be Crescent who bites the bullet instead. It's going to be OGX 3-1 starting things off.
Yeah, so many choke points that OGX can really fight on over with their comp here. You see Twirly obviously flushing out that A link with the relay bolts. That stun kind of putting Yamori in an even more uncomfortable position. Great opening shots to try and open up the site itself and get things going, but even better at the end here from OGX, who are continuing their tirade on the defense of all things. Eco now for NWJ. And this is where, once more, we're seeing the same symptoms of a very familiar sickness that was applied on NWJ yesterday versus Global, and Aruma starts things off again.
And that is such a useful tool right now. The operator in her hands, definitely a bigger impact as compared to the past few days, and proving Coldan wrong. So, I mean, it's actually eliminating a lot of possibilities for NWJ, because with that operator, they're not going to repeat those same angles. And then now she's going to potentially reposition. This is information onto the A site, and NWJ, you know, they have to somehow commit to this.
Here.
5v3, of course. Some weapons to work with, but not the most favorable. Twirly knows they're coming up on here. Can use a stun, but doesn't. Goes for the dry option, and NWJ punish here the, I guess, complacency of OGX.
My sentiments exactly. At least this is a good shock dart from Japips, but she is smoked off, vision robbed by Oreophilia. And you also have an operator on. Whoa.
What a check.
Operator on retake, I was gonna say. She dropped and then rendezvoused back up into heaven safely, thankfully. But here comes, it's a bit of gravity well, pushes Yamori out by the edge. Can't quite find a shot onto her though, and here comes Japips, only able to find a bit of a trade before Lynn claims her life. NWJ still very much in the game, 2-3.
Imagine if Aruma there, mid-air, just no-scope a shot out, and then by the time she lands, she TPs back up with this basically a
Dead
pick
body.
going untraded. That'd be crazy.
That's crazy. Different game though. I don't know that those kind of mechanics work in Valorant unless like it's really just that miracle
do.
shot. Sometimes, huh?
Lots
Yeah.
of precise
Up trap,
gunplay
no scope
sometimes.
off.
Yeah, with a 360 in between. Why not throw it in just for
360.
the tricks?
Want to make it a 720? All right, no
1080 while you're at it.
Oh, well.
I mean-
all right.
All right, enough with the horseshoe play. Aruma's got the obviously hunters rather, sure, the force to pull on out
A lot of
Hunter's Fury
ults.
as well as from Japeeps. Yeah, basically the point is lots of stuff to use. And they have to make sure they use that, because we saw the punish come in last time around when they kind of went dry on these fights.
Oh, okay. That's actually, yeah, a very good point to bring up, because they had a good chance at actually stalling that push, but instead they fought it dry, and now they're gonna have to pay for it. Same thing happening this time, except for Casper, who's gonna pull them into the gravity well. Has a good chance. She lines them up. Two is gone. Looking for the third, but Oreophilia trades, brings back a bit of normalcy to her team, and with a garage push now, Sky Elise eliminating another angle. Sway makes it a bit of a
30
trade though,
seconds
and then from the shadows, Oreophilia claims the A site, attacking lockdown, keeps them at bay. Sky Elise trying to catch them on the rotations, but she has to make the right guess. Japips and Sway try to play it safe, instead they
just
stick
won?
together.
I think they might have just won the round there by using that lockdown. You saw that Sway was trapped in the back part of the site because she couldn't cross into CT because the lockdown was going to detain her. So now they're coming on in with a lot more time burnt. Still a chance, obviously, but you can hear the ticking. It's starting to burn down.
Yeah, that sounds like, ooh, less than 20 seconds? I don't know, but I mean, feels like it. Oreophilia doesn't matter. Flushed out of position because of the aftershock, but she still lands the shots. Carrying on with the performance from the previous map, she saves the round for her team. NWJ, they tie things up.
Still die from the aftershock. I mean, rather, still die even with the aftershock. But Gravity Well, of course, they're being pulled on in by Casper.
That's a bit
still
of
not enough.
Feels bad for Yamori. I think she wanted to tailwind into Casper.
Ooh.
But she bumped into, like, Crescents or something instead.
Just a bit of lack of, I guess, coordination there or synergy between what to do. Look at the push here coming from this Twirly. Not able to get much going. Sky Elisa double shut down off the eco push.
I feel sad. Black and blue. I'm
Sad.
blue now. Why
Why you sad?
Because the movement wasn't that fluid on that play from Twirly. But your Pips just comes in and lands shots! What? The Sheriff double! She's doing it again! She clutched the previous game, now she's gonna make it happen once more. The spike has been dropped. Still though, they've got the guns and Japips has been eliminated from the equation. It comes down to Casper. She lands the first one, looks for the next, but Oreophilia with the little crouch tippy taps. A final shot to the head, and NWJ find their lead.
Yeah, just hitting her with the shuffle shake.
Shuffle
at the end.
shake. Ooh.
Yeah, just to make sure throw off to cross
Enemy remaining standing.
the game. Fortunately, doesn't connect for Casper, but valiant effort put into kind of, I guess, rebound from the opening fight. Off the eco there. OGX, of course, they're not doing too bad at all on the defensive side here, considering we're only in round 8. It's NWJ who had a bit more pressure on them to perform, finally able to in these past 3. It's been such a streaky game here for NWJ. You rarely see them win 1, lose 1, win 2, lose 2. It's been a streak or nothing for them throughout this series, which is kind of concerning, to be honest.
That's right. It's kind of odd. And, well, OGX looking to find their own streak. Timeout being called now. Aruma back on that operator play, but still, despite her little bit of success, it's the fact that OGX, we're starting to see them go in with that kind of like dry fight, right? Remember how Twirly went in for it, and this time with that, attempt at making a mid-window push, it's not that safe, it's not that clear, and because of it, they can't quite secure the kills that they want to get. So NWJ is always able to answer back in kind, and Crescents now has her Rolling Thunder available.
Well, you can see them prepping the stun for sure, as is typical here from the A-Link. Obviously, waiting for contact to be made. Tapes as well.
Good.
Confirms that. I wonder if they get the stun burst. No, good discipline here by Sway to not let that utility early. Just trying to play the info game.
Burns a bit of utility from OGX as well. Casper running out of stars. All right, OGX now this time definitely trying to play it safe, making use of their utility to keep NWJ away. Burning down the timer though, NWJ makes things very, very precarious. We are like always thinking about where these people could be headed towards. Cloudburst into B, and that kind of makes it very clear now. Sway backs up, perfectly lined up for the Rolling Thunder. 2 players are hit. A counter Rolling Thunder, but Sway lands the first shot. Skylise comes back in, a bit of a trade. Japit trades right back, and now we're on to the 2-on-4. NWJ blocked off by this huge curtain. Casper strikes from the back, and now Oreophilia. No matter how good you are, you can't quite clutch against 4 with 10 seconds remaining. So she opts for the save instead. Paranoia out. Wait, Shrouded step in! Oh no, she's gonna get burned and completely buckeye. Twirly just shuts things down. We're back to a 4-on-4. That was a little bit odd.
I don't know if that panic Rolling Thunder necessarily had much reason to it. Obviously, just to stop kind of the ensuing pursuit that was to come from Sway's Rolling Thunder here in Orangutan, but didn't really amount to much for sure. Didn't really connect on much either.
One enemy remaining.
Just allows OGX even more advantage here on the defensive side of all things. Timeout now by Scythe.
Yeah, I gotta keep your comms up. Gotta keep talking. Rolling Thunder, I mean, I guess if you're sharp enough with your shooting, it might somehow work out, but they never would have known that Casper was flanking them all the way down C. And there was a bit of a commitment to the crouch, which I think made it a little bit more difficult to land the subsequent shot. That said, it's still an even game right now. And if you're taking a look at how the ultimates have been cycled, NWJ still has some in the bank. In fact, it's OGX on the half shields. Aruma's still on the operator, which is always nice. But I mean, you can definitely see the impact of the timeouts now with how the utility is being used. And that's the main thing that we want to focus on. The main thing that both teams need to keep up. NWJ still playing that info.
You got the op still anyways here in OGX, which
What?
is get taken down. Lynn somehow wins that fight. Off the roam as well, even as a Sova. We saw her lurk a while ago. Obviously as a Viper, but as a Sova? Even Aruma's surprised.
Yeah, kind of caught asleep at the wheel. Jeez, Lynn is just on another level right now.
Yeah,
that was pure heads up. But look at the push from C Long, Black and Blue. Oh, they're coming in from behind. SCYTHE is prepared for it. It's a very slow-paced game, and NWJ keeps inviting OGX out for these peaks, and they come up huge because of it. A bit of a phantom spray, and Orphelia trades right back. This gives NWJ the C site.
Calling my bot.
Yeah, great trades here.
Placing swarm grenade. Swarm grenade out.
Should by all means, barring some hysterical heroics, be around for NWJ. And this is when we see the best of NWJ, hasn't it? When they're able to just slowly take contact. Obviously, win those fights, connect on those shots. I'm not too sure if they spotted out the barrel of Crescents. It almost seemed to be the case.
Area.
But they definitely did not spot SCYTHE right under window.
Yeah.
Oh, look at Elise now. She's coming up from the round back. Doesn't even matter though. The Crescents just takes the angle. Double kill, back and back, Black and Blue.
Made sure as well to hold on to the Hunter's Fury as long as possible, so they still have that for another post-plant position, or even to just initiate here on the seaside especially. Could be big for getting them in further round. They've taken the lead with that too, by the way.
By the way, dang, alright.
By the way.
It's a 1-round lead. Let's see if it can turn into even more. But OGX, for the time being, still able to buy back up, and that's always nice to see. Aruma trying to switch up positions now, locking off Garage instead. Oh, good pick by Sway, just suddenly peeking out of A short.
Nice shot. Aruma's doesn't connect though, for sure.
Placing swarm grenade.
Okay.
Swarm grenade out.
NWJ. They still have that Hunter's Fury, as I mentioned, but they're going to be hard-pressed to let that loose without finding a pick first. And obviously, the C site is quite occupied with some threats they'd rather not deal with as of the moment.
Oh, yeah.
And OGX have all marks checked, really, here, so they have good positions to fall back into safety and not get overwhelmed on any portion of the map currently.
So far, so good. And OGX is making quick work, just relaying off of info. Twirly confirms that it's an A-hit, slows them down with a relay. Ooh, both concussed! Very well done, and now tucks herself into safety. Burns a little bit because of the nanostorm, but not too bad. I'm more curious about Japip's positioning though. She has the Hunter's Fury, but now stuck on site. She has to take the fight, and unfortunately she will not win. Twirly tries to answer back, but only good for one. SCYTHE off of those 3 kills, plants her feet down with the lockdown, and pushes OGX away.
Ooh. I wonder if they're going to commit to the retake. We haven't been seeing much save attempts from either side throughout the series. Wanting to really kind of fight for every single round, brawl for every single point on the board. Aruma once again using that.
One enemy remaining.
Well, Rendezvous doesn't really gain much, and neither does Casper. So round's done. An actual save, perhaps here from Aruma, but no, once more. SCYTHE. Aruma. I mean, the op was working a while ago, but so far I've been losing to kind of these duels.
I know! That should not be happening! And you just lost a 4,700 investment? Not to mention, okay, NWJ has extended that lead, Black and Blue. And this is a map which Orangutan X is supposed to be good on. This dark horse of SCYTHE and NWJ, maybe it's the duel between the dark horses, but SCYTHE and NWJ has been showing up today.
Definitely have, and what a face to put on. A huge stage for them, especially.
Right there.
Noise being made here towards mid, trying to fight over that contact, and Twirly connects. Good trade out for either breach, at the very least. Well, that affects, I think, the defense here a bit more, because a lot of OGX's game plan is playing off of that breach stun, playing off of those chokes. Obviously, it'd be great to have on the attacking side as well, but with the contact play that NWJ plays sometimes, it isn't always necessarily the biggest part of their attack.
Better for post-plant scenarios, but right now, NWJ, that contact, it's the same game plan, slowly traversing across the map. And OGX is always paranoid because of it. Aruma now, hearing the footsteps, has to make her shots count. There's the first, not quite the second. Lin makes it an open sight for her team. Not to mention from the shadows from Oreophilia to top of heaven as well. Twirly seems to anticipate it though, so watching the angle. Oreophilia, you gotta time this right. She hears the footsteps. Oh, it peeks out at the right time. Hello, there's the shot. Japip's with the shotgun though, answers back. Twirly trades as well. It's all down to Yamori, and Twirly's just trying to make it safe, playing off of the recon. Duo, tag team, and they go in together. OGX answers back. It's a 5-6.
Great util from Japip's in that round. The shock darts obviously denying the initial kind of plant attempt there by Lin. I'm not sure if it was a double lineup, but the scan for sure at the end. They're confirming Yamori, leaving little to chance for the defense to mess that one on up. Aruma finally gaining a pick off of these kind of deep angles that she likes to hold. Twirly starting things off and ending it too. OGX slowly trying to tie the game on up. But NWJ still have one last chance.
And maybe try to secure that 7-5 lead. Very curious as to what Twirly is going to do, though. Again, Lin has been sitting on this Hunter's Fury for several rounds now. Twirly just earned her overdrive in the previous round. So now it's again back to that info game. Casper confirms that it's a C hit. Twirly's right around the corner, around Garage. She slides in through, gets the first one.
What?
White Wonder trying to back off. Rolling Thunder comes in. Hunter's Fury as well. And then here comes Twirly. She just goes in for the sprays, gets a second one. A lot more kills being traded forth, and it's going to be Oreophilia trying to bring things back. But OGX has enough numbers. Oh, good flicks, but Aruma with the operator makes it impossible. 6-6, we tie things up.
Switching sides.
Shio's on the mark too as well to adjust to where Aruma was going to peek from that logged position, but still not enough. But the best, who is always enough and always will be with us, is our panel.
Aww.
How you guys doing?
We appreciate all the love. Way too much love coming our way, Colden, I think. But I'm quite uneasy about how this match is going. We're seeing a lot of rounds wherein, you know, it becomes almost like a little awkward, and you're wondering where is the, you know, the confidence, that comeback potential of OGX. I don't feel that it's, you know, as prominent as it was in their previous matches, and NWJ here really pushing back, and I almost feel like this could potentially be NWJ's map after all.
Yeah, it very might well be that case, right? But I think it's a bit too soon to say, right? The scoreline is still incredibly close. But we did see SCYTHE really showing up in their slow play style, right? Because of the composition of what OGX has. They don't have a lot of information agents, so they had to go for pushes. We saw Aruma getting caught out multiple times. We saw the push down mid being stifled as well. But OGX still has that resilience, always going for those retakes, and they still managed to claw back a couple of rounds. So as close as you can get, I think swapping over to the sides, they just need to ensure that they play together as a team and use the utilities in unison, you know, for either squad to take them to win. It's still either 50-50 to me.
Yeah, and that's where it gets a little dicey, right? It's like, it is 50-50. I thought maybe that it might be favoring OGX a little bit more at this point, but we're gonna see. I mean, Queens of the Comeback, now is the time for whatever comeback they might have in them, but for NWJ, they just have to keep on pushing. This could be theirs, but we're gonna find out as we toss it on back to Black and Blue and to Quack.
Always gotta
thanks for
love the
having us.
love. Yeah, you give them
Never
so many
mind.
compliments.
We hate you guys.
Oh,
Y'all suck. I'm kidding. You'd never.
Black and Blue.
But who doesn't suck? Never mind, there's a bad joke at the end of that. But who doesn't suck are both of these teams.
They are tied
Because
up.
They are tied up, and they're doing pretty good, actually.
Oh, but this is very early contact. Bit of a stun, a bit of a trade. And player's still relatively alive.
Relatively. A site quite occupied right now, Quack. And I'm not too sure if this is going to be the best idea for OGX to continue forward. Luckily, they have some notion as well of second-guessing their current predicament. Attacking side, final half of this series, by the way, BT dubs. And NWJ put a stop to this and take an open pistol. That'd be one great way to overthrow it.
Ooh, Twirly. Slides in, Aruma getting a shot with great info from Japips. They managed to make this work. It's down to the last two. And SCYTHE is just still right around B. Oreophilia, I don't know if she can find all too much. And look at the positioning. It's overwhelming odds. OGX against NWJ. They win this, and it's going to be good for their momentum. Sway peeks out at the right time. SCYTHE answers back, and Twirly, here she comes. It's going to be 7-6 in favor of OGX.
All right. OGX on the contact, everything working their way. Aruma opening pick, and then Twirly following up here off the scan. And once more, the scan from Japips has been so quintessential to a lot of their attacking sides here. Just gaining information. We saw that a while ago as well on Ascent, and the Sova on Japips is just, or just a scan in general, is so big to really allow the rest of OGX to keep their head turned forward.
And that's just a great sight hit with them cutting noise as well. But this time around, NWJ off the eco, slowly pushing up C. That eliminates one option. A seems to be clear as well, with Lin along with Yamori peeking out. So they know that it's closer towards B, but OGX seems to anticipate the push as well. Casper, she knows she's behind them, but just turns away at the wrong time. Sway comes up now from the other side, but then it's easy for NWJ to continue to leapfrog off each other and peek one by one. The classics, they are singing right now, Black and Blue. 2-on-2, Make that a
Spike down,
2-on-1.
attacker spawn.
We've picked up a Spectre, and now this is a much more doable round for NWJ to come back in. Our panelists were talking about this. NWJ, this might have been a stamina game initially, but now that they found their confidence, now that they're doing so much good work with the
30
coordination that
seconds
they have, this is very, very doable for them. Aruma, of course, wants to bring things back into OGX's favor. The spike drop, and she needs to retrieve it. Collects onto the first shot, but here comes Lynn again with her cape, saving the day. The thrifty win for NWJ.
7-7, and NWJ once more. These kind of lower economy states, they're still able to convert, even on a thrifty. This is when sometimes they seem the most scrappy, when they can just really throw OGX for a loop. And on the defensive side, it's going to be difficult to start, gaining these rounds, and so to do it against their anti-eco is even more wonderful for their benefit. They're going to buy not much, to say the very least, here for OGX, as an eco is to be expected. Now they're just trying to find anything going their way from the lurk.
Every round from here on out is just always so crucial. Again, always got to remember, this is an elimination match. Yep, barrel spotted. Trying to go in for that wall bang now, but headhunter rounds have to be very well reserved. Oh, and with the paranoia play, SCYTHE, a bit of a tag, and still good enough damage. It
She's
just
still
blocks
alive.
everything off. OGX tries to push out a C now, but they get roadblocked by Oreophilia. A second,
enemy
another
remaining.
shot coming through.
Spike down.
Okay.
I can't believe SCYTHE is out of that unscathed. 100 HP, 50 armor, not a single tag up on her. Great paranoia help here coming from Oreophilia to keep her alive.
That is ridiculous.
30 seconds
All right.
left.
Maybe she hurt the hop. Got the first shot off. Just getting flanked as well, though. Twirly has to watch her back. Watch her front as well. Two players completely surrounded. Everyone converging onto her position. Uses the... I was going to say that she was going to sprint, but... walked straight into Lynn, and I guess she didn't expect them to be right behind her. So with that, NWJ finds momentum.
Deleted.
30 seconds
Well,
left.
I'm kind of speechless, honestly, with the way things are turning out here for OGX. Opportunities not being able to be seized. NWJ still somehow able to continuously hound on the pressure. Operator out now for Yamori. He's been having herself a quieter series for sure, but if that changes here right now, it matters the most. Everything will be rectified. Operator obviously spot on out the angle. Sway still trying to pull that attention away.
Yeah, reaction's not quite there either. Drones through, and they are trying to push Yamori back. Not much happening. Everyone's just, it's a bit of a stalemate between the two teams. And once again,
It's kind of like chess here, just trying to see who's going to move first. Initial feints from either side. Nobody throwing the first punch just yet. But this benefits NWJ. The more time burnt off, the more difficult it's going to be. The more hasty OGX are going to have to try and take this one on in. And here comes the push.
Recon broken. Lynn able to get the first, but Casper trades instantly. With the relay bolt, Twirly makes it a little bit hectic, and she's able to collect on another frag. Down to the 1-on-3. SCYTHE, the slow rotations, walks straight into Japip's crosshairs, and that brings OGX to another tie.
Okay, OGX, good response. I don't know how they're able to just pull off this kind of 30-second meta thing where they just don't do anything sometimes for the most of the round, and suddenly in a last-ditch effort scramble,
Which game is
explode
this?
onto the site.
Yeah, the 30-second meta. It's really coming up. Very
Yeah.
tactical. But it comes with a lot
All
of
colors
noise
of the
cutting.
rainbow.
Still though, this time maybe a bit more of a rush, trying to switch up the pace, and along with the overdrive as well. Twirly just trying to find some blind shots.
Spike
And,
planted.
well, it definitely creates a lot of space.
Well, they've
Okay.
definitely gotten the plant off very quickly here, which is certainly good, but the lightning fingers does kind of dissipate before being able to actually use it for a fight. Retake from NWJ. They are taking their sweet time, though. They've got lots of utility to throw on out. Here comes out that Rolling Thunder off of the attacking side. That's going to burn even more time. And Twirly's able to get the double with a frenzy up close. A triple for Twirly. Spinning them round for round, and they're confused. Concussed. Don't even know what's happened. Lin gets a double, but the round is done. OGX have won.
And it's all thanks to Twirly. Just dancing around them. Completely dazed. NWJ did not know what hit them. First it was the overdrive, yes, and the fast lane, a lot of space being gained. But she kept one relay bolt. And also the frenzy. She was just positioned right around the mouth of that
frenzy?
nebula.
A stapler. She got 2 kills with a stapler. I once saw him kill 2 men in a bar with a stapler.
Twirly's a player of commitment and sheer will.
Exactly. That's Twirly Wick to you, son.
Oh,
Incredible stuff.
that's Vidania.
Baba Yaga.
Alright, now she's back in towards A, though. They made a little bit of presence known towards mid. A lot of shots being traded back and forth. But NWJ, of course, trying to find their lead back as well. Their economy is starting to dwindle. Oh, look at this. Alright, Lin's got the Hunter's Fury. Not using it.
Spike planted.
Alright. Yeah, not denying the plant, or at least delaying it for the meantime. Maybe for the retake here, to flush out that help position and graffiti at once, possibly. Could be one way to use it, but once more, NWJ taking their time before they initiate the retake.
Oh, there it is. Called it perfectly, black and blue. Skylee's in position for a bit of a flank as well. They continue to push through a link. Oreophilia makes a good bit of damage, but still blocked off by Sway. And with all of these angles being held, Skylee's has to make her shots count, but only good for the first. Japips with her classic shuts her up. It's going to be OGX now cementing their lead 10-8.
I mean, once more, it kind of just lets the attacking side here, the post-plant hold from OGX, settle because of how much time NWJ are waiting for these retakes sometimes. I'd like to see them kind of, you know, throw a wrench into those plans. Maybe have somebody go for something cheeky, get a scan off, somebody peek, get a free kill to kind of thin out the herd just a bit while the plant attempt is going on in the first place. Those type of things where you'd want to see NWJ shake up the expectations of OGX instead of being so rigid in their play.
They haven't been able to break that mold yet. And this is where it gets really quite excruciating to watch. I don't know if there are any more timeouts left, but either one of these teams could use one right now. And with NWJ, it's such a great story going thus far with their lower bracket run. Is it really the time for them to get blocked off? Crescents, with a bit of a fadeaway shot, able to keep the dream alive for just a bit more. But look at the mini-map, black and blue. Twirly wants to push into A.
Well, most of the defense is somewhat there. I'm not going to say ready to receive this, but Skylee's is in a difficult spot. She can maybe get the one off, but the stun forces her to readjust and allows Twirly to find the timing. She had lockdown as well. She had to know. With the lockdown, you have to be a bit more passive so you can bail out for the retake, have somebody else play that aggressive.
Just not ready for it. didn't stay frosty enough, and yeah, a little bit of pressure from the fault line, and everything gets broken apart. But good execute coming through, though. Yamori leading the charge with the Phantom and the Tailwind. Twirly answers right back in full. Triple kill. Casper and Sway locking things down from A-Long. And with that, OGX 11-8. Economy broken for NWJ.
Wow. OGX.
Oh, no.
And this is what separates them from some of the other teams here who are viewed as a bit more middle of the pack in this tournament. The fact that they're able to kind of readjust and reassess the situation and sometimes just, to be honest, win the fights that they need to when it matters the most, right? Connect on those shots. It's part of the game.
It certainly is, but it's a little bit painful. It's a little bit heartbreaking to watch this happen to SCYTHE NWJ. So with their timeout right now, maybe they can turn things around. They have those ultimates. And yes, OGX has them as well. This is one of those rounds where you're always thinking about your buys, because do you make your stand here, or do you let things drop into match point? Series point, in fact.
Why so serious, son?
Because it's a lower bracket elimination match, Black and Blue. It's serious. It's serious.
Why so serious, son. NWJ, the closest they've ever been into making it even deeper, and yet it could slip from their grasp. No time for any jokes, any jests. NWJ right now have to pull out another thrifty round, another incredible response just to keep this from match point.
Oh man. Oh gosh, and Aurephilia's trying to capture an off angle now, not quite getting the flicks. Slowly running out of steam. It is starting to look like a match and series point more and more. Seaside has been captured. OGX has planted their flag down. Even the random spray catches on to Crescent's head. No.
Oh, they should have been able to capitalize off of the scan there, but obviously easier said than done. Memorial low HP as well. Oh, Shock Dart gets her even lower. So much delaying time here. Lynn dropped in the garage, only gets the one. Casper ready for the trade. A triple for Casper. Maybe a fourth with the classic, but no, it's going to be Twirly to follow on up. As match point is secured. OGX
Match point.
one away from progressing further.
This could be it. It's been a pleasure casting with you, Black and Blue. But for OGX, their lineage continues. They've been going in with such a great run throughout the entire year. The first team to go up against Team SMG in the grand finals of Open 1, now continuing fourth. Meanwhile, for NWJ, such an incredible Dark Horse performance. Lin giving us incredible shows as well, but this might be where it all stops. This might be where it all ends, unless they can turn things around. OGX wants to make it happen. A quick push from Twirly outside of garage, shut down by Yamori. She needs to run. She needs to climb. She needs to kill, and she might be making it happen. Just at least for one more round. They heard those sounds outside of C-Long.
They know where they are right now. Aureophilia double for her. Another connection double as well for Yamori. And NWJ refused to go down so early just yet. We continue on further. Lower bracket round 3, eluding OGX for the meantime. Due to much of what was done by SCYTHE, but it's a good shutdown here. Dodging, anticipating the stun on the heavy push around. Kind of a hasty push from OGX. Trying to want to close it out immediately. And I have to ask, did you tag me in a story, Quack, on IG and didn't delete it?
I deleted it. Why are we talking about this now?
I was embarrassed. And I checked it and it was gone. I was like, what did Quack tag me in?
Alright, here we go. Okay, 3 ultimates on both sides. And again, it's still 3 more rounds for NWJ to push this into overtime to keep their dream alive. If they can make it happen, there will be such an incredible run for them. A team without a coach. They have been so well prepared, they shut down Twirly once again. And without that tip of the spear, OGX looks a little bit blunt.
Yeah. They've been hasty on these pushes at match point. They've been... It's kind of like... when a hound sees, their prey, they just want to fight for it, they want to fish for it, but it's not coming to them the way that they expected it to. Lin still has the scan, which is huge actually here for this retake to still be available this early on.
Oh. Okay, defending lockdown. The smoke dissipates, but here comes Casper's Cosmic Divide. It keeps Sway alive. She drops down, stays hidden. Yamori, Sky Elise, they've managed to fight back. Aruma does not have space, does not have room to hide, and NWJ goes for yet another round.
And this is the difference of what the benefit of retaking when you don't settle, when you don't allow the opposing side rather to settle, when you don't allow that attacking post plant to get into position, to get ready for the push, set up their traps, set up their system. NWJ start the retake while the plant attempt was going. They start to apply the pressure while they were trying to get on the site itself. And you can see there that Lin, even though she knew the rest of the team was going to be behind her anyways, she didn't wait for the rest of the team to try and chime on in for the fight. She got her one, and when she saw that, hey, Cosmic Divide is up, I'm gonna hop right through it right now to get the timing and really throw a wrench into the plans and the spokes of OGX. That's more of what NWJ need to do here if they do give up the site.
That is truly just freaking incredible sense to know when to push like that. And it forces Orangutan X to call that time out. 12-10. 2 rounds away from pushing this into an overtime. 2 rounds to write another chapter for NWJ's run this year in Game Changers APAC Elite 2023. Of course, it's always difficult. It's an uphill battle, but they are not backing down. There's only one way out for them. And OGX, they're looking to shut down that dream. Aruma with the tour de force play this round.
Here we go.
You want to play?
Final
Let's
act
play.
of this series. Final few rounds to come on in. 23rd we are. Will we continue to the end of regulation? Another B push coming here from OGX. Stun trying to take that A-Link away for the further post-plant effort.
Oh my god.
Gravity, well, good effort, but they're not really going to try and stick onto it just yet.
No more.
Oh, what a connection from Lin.
Perfect strafe shot. And that's Aruma dead. Tour de force, you know, don't have to worry about it anymore. Yamori with the flank, gets the first one. Tailwind propped up. She's looking for another hit. Just buying time for her teammates to peek out. Oreophilia makes it a trade. Casper still alive though, but here comes Yamori. 1 player left. Casper gets another headshot, continuing to duck and weave. Another shot going through, but the spike has been stuck and defused. Lin still on the board.
We go to the final round of regulation, of course. Of course we do, on the final map of this series. How close the stakes are coming to be. Smart by Yamori here to recognize that, hey, once they're really kind of aware of her position and spots out how many are marking her, it's kind of jiggling, buying time, as he said, for the rest of the team to peek out from B main, capitalize on the information given, and see what they can take. Twirly with a judge at hand. Final round of regulation now. Time to pull out all the stops.
Overtime or bust. NWJ, can they make it happen? Fully blinded this time though, and Twirly is in such a prime position. Here comes the judge. Oh, but you're going to be overruled instead. Japips answers back, but here comes the Hunter's Fury. Oh, they are so uncomfortable. Oh, Sky Elise getting a triple kill now. Aruma's the only one left, and she's stuck, pinned down inside of Garage. Peeks her little head out, but Lin slaps her down. We are going to overtime.
Sky Elise, what a hold on the site. A triple for her. Shutting down Twirly there, of course, who kind of had the free kill towards the back site. As I believe it was a breach that was kind of blind here. Actually, no, it was Oreophilia who was blind on the back of the site. NWJ somehow are able to rectify their woes 4 rounds straight to bring us in overtime when it seemed impossible. They made it happen. Glass cannon out of Aruma to try and get something going here for them finally.
And OGX has been throwing these Hail Mary plays right at NWJ, and every single time NWJ has been answering back in kind. 4 rounds won in a row on the defense, but we swapped sides again. OT1 begins now. Fault line doesn't quite catch anything. A lot of footsteps towards A long, and Aruma calls it. Here comes the hit though. Cloudburst. Tillman kind of denied for the time being. Sway just throws out another flash. The trademark chops off, and it slows down NWJ, but they still have managed to create a lot of space on the site, so Spike should go down.
Going to be difficult to retake with the operator too here for Aruma, unless the opportunity presents itself. She can mark this position though, and unless they have a smoke for the window, for the heaven, then they're going to be pretty hard pressed to try and flush her on out. Spam on through, connecting through the wall back, the aftershock. Aruma dropping down to hell and proceeds back up to heaven. But Lynn! What a triple for Lynn! Connecting on it! The spray control! And then NWJ take the lead!
The stars and the planets aligned, black and blue. We are playing Connect 4 right now. What on earth was that? This round is sending me. That no-scope that you were talking about from before, it happened right here.
What?
And then she dropped that again. And Lynn just gets the perfect spray.
Lynn's sanity at its truest here. The Phantom providing a miracle. A prayer answered. An omen established. And NWJ benefit off of it. 13-12 Quack. Who would have thought? In that fashion of all things.
Oh my god. And now, when NWJ is doing that well on defense, they had those ultimates before, and this time they don't. Not unless they pick up some alt orb somewhere, but it's tough to do that on Haven defense. But 5 rounds in a row, they've got that momentum. Could this be it for Scythe NWJ? Could this be their moment to extend their lower bracket run? It's such a crazy and ridiculous performance thus far as the dark horse of this tournament. Orangutan X is looking to shut that down.
It's a different beast. They've woken up here now. Yeah, Orangutan, as you mentioned it, yeah, slowing down the pace. That's what, 5 rounds now straight that NWJ have been able to take, including regulation. Momentum heavily in their favor, and the pendulum has not swung back just yet.
Okay, everyone's taking things a little bit slowly. OG making careful moves, using the drone, using every piece of utility just to get a little bit more space. Casper in a prime position to lurk outside of B. Here comes the hit. Twirly kicking things into high gear. The fast lane comes up, but you haven't quite yet cleared A short. Lynn as well as SCYTHE are just lying in wait. It's going to be a little bit precarious to plant the spike in this moment. Twirly starting to peek around just to check. First corner eliminated by the aftershock. Now running through, barrel spotted, but Lynn gets the heads-up duel instead. We start things off. Fault line connects. Shock dart just to hold Sway away. And here comes SCYTHE all the way from Ilong. She's been left undetected. A good spray coming through. A second one to boot. SCYTHE trying to turn things all the way up to 11. Comes in for the tap. A good stun. And it's going to happen. Casper, can you turn things around? Goes in, but gets shut down by Yamori with the wall bang. A large caliber punch through. And NWJ taking Orangutan out of the race.
Who would have thought, of all teams, Orangutan will be the one taken down here today? What a game, what a series, and what a team Scythe have proven to be here. NWJ, I am absolutely impressed, Quack. I love what I saw here coming from NWJ. There's a reason why we said they're one of the dark horses of this tournament, and now teams are going to start to believe.
It's so ridiculous. They don't have a coach, and they keep making this happen. They're just making it by pure plays, individual
just that
performances,
good.
and also
They're just that
coming
good.
together. Exactly. Sky Elise, Lin working together like this, and Oreophilia showing up at times. It is just that amazing. We love their performance, but you know who else we love? It's our panelists, Mika and Koldan. We love you guys so much. Tell us what happened.
We love you too, but you know what? I don't love that those mini heart attacks that I got while watching that map. Golden, what did we just witness here? Orangutan X eliminated by NWJ, and you know what? Black and Blue just mentioned, in one of the rounds that they've woken up a completely different beast, and I think that's what happened here. This was just something else for NWJ, especially those last few rounds.
I mean, what we witness here is history. I think this is the best performing side we have seen all year. I mean, hands down, the resilience they got from yesterday, it translated over again today. On the third map, they were down 8-12. Yesterday, they were down 7-12, and suddenly they were all, just awakened. They realized backs against the wall yet again. They're just gonna take it like they did yesterday, round by round, kill by kill, and everybody stepped up to the plate. I mean, not to mention that insane spray down by Lin at the end, Oreophilia, Sky Elise, and an insane performance from every single player, and they did so together. It wasn't a one-man show. It wasn't a one-player, pop-off throughout the entire game. It was every single player playing together with the utilities. They went for the slow plays. They had fast plays as well, and that last round, the dynamics of them, for Sky Elise to wrap around from short all the way to long and then catch them as their backs were turned, that is just SCYTHE on that miracle run.
I just had my eyes on Lin. She was just amazing. I mean,
yeah.
that triple kill, that was, it was just, I mean, everybody had moments like that as well, right? And I think what was remarkable as well about NWJ is that, these moments came in right when they really, really needed it. Somebody needed, to really punch it, and there was always somebody from this team that was able to deliver. And unfortunately for OGX, you kind of expected the same. You kind of expected somebody to just, go on overdrive, and not necessarily on the neon all the time, but literally go on overdrive. And it wasn't there when you needed somebody to pop off. They couldn't deliver, and they were just overpowered by NWJ, who were doing exactly that. And oh my goodness, this is just amazing from NWJ. Everybody, I think, a lot of people have to eat their words right now, myself included, just because we all thought that it was going to be OGX, and we had them again as in our top 4 teams. But now NWJ, this is literally game changing for me. I have to go back and look at my predictions and say, like, okay, wait, hold on, I didn't have this in my script.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the first kill, so it's not the biggest difference, but 15-11, and the edge still goes to NWJ. I think they were able to dictate those opening kills just slightly better, and at the end of the day, it might have just, been that small little difference to make such a big splash in this tournament. I mean, OGX they are the second seed in this tournament. They have consistently made top 4 grand finals appearance this entire year, but now knocked out early by SCYTHE, who they themselves have been struggling, but now with an amazing performance. Sky Elise on this map taking that MVP, and well deserved. I think that last round kind of just encapsulated that entire map, and this entire series. Every single player, I cannot stress this enough, but SCYTHE has got a good squad. Like, every single player can play up to their potential if required to. And you add on that resilience that they've gained off from yesterday. Today, now they've gotten even more experience, and they've gotten the confidence to boot. I mean, you play until 12 midnight, and then you come in and you deal this kind of a blow to OGX. That's a statement if I've ever seen one.
It is a massive statement indeed, especially since, this was basically 24 hours or more of a high pressure competitive environment, right? And it's exactly the kind of environment that makes diamonds. That makes diamonds out of players like this. It's exactly what I'm seeing of NWJ. They're basically saying we can take the pressure. We can actually deliver when it matters most. And this is a lower bracket run for them, and I am incredibly impressed with what I'm seeing with these ladies. I am excited to see them continue their journey here. Very, very exciting stuff for these ladies. They can finally relax a little bit though, for just a bit. I think they can breathe a sigh of relief for now at the very least. But of course, we as the audience and the panel and the casters cannot breathe a sigh of relief just yet, because up next we have Team SMG versus Full Sense Sapphire. Yes, it's gonna be very, very explosive indeed. So don't go anywhere. VCT Game Changers APAC Elite will be right back.
One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining.
Got the money in the
30
bank.
One enemy remaining.
Show me what you got. Back up, back up, back up, back up, back up.